And now it's time for Who's Views Reviews with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Continuing our celebration of 60 years of the Cybermen as we look at the Silver Giants and their first story of the 21st century. Hello, everybody. It's us again here at Who's Views Reviews. I'm with Paul, I'm with Phil, I'm with Kirsty, lady of the chat, and I'm here with Emilio as well. And yes, we are here, everybody, to talk about the rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel. How are you guys? You all right?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all. It's good to see everybody in the chat as well. Hello, everybody. How are you? Hope you're all right in the chat. Let's have your recollections of these two episodes as we take you back. We're taking everybody back now, guys. Back in time to 2006. Yeah, the 13th.
I was only 12 back then. Yeah,
I wasn't even born.
Shut at you.
Please. The 13th and the 20th of May 2006, which saw the broadcasting of these two episodes, which of course are Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel, written by Tom McRae, directed by a Doctor Who legend, Graham Harper, as he returned to the show after all those years, of course, produced by Phil Collinson, and executive produced by you-know-who, RTD, and Julie Gardner. There you go. All the details on the bottom there for you as well. Right, so let's have a look at some of the panel here, shall we? Paul, no. Phil, no. So Kirsty and Emilio, how old were you when these episodes were broadcast?
-7, probably. Yeah.
10 going on 11.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think I was just 10, around about 10. Yeah,
About the same age. Okay, I feel sick now. Right, okay, yeah, so here we are, guys. This is going to be good to get your guys' opinion on this as well, because you are part of the generation that were being introduced to the Cybermen in these very episodes here. So their first 21st century appearance. But for us old stalwarts, old hands, I don't know about you two, but this came as a shock to me, to be quite honest. I mean, I was expecting the Cybermen back, because of the huge success of Dalek in 2005. It was inevitable they were going to come back. I don't know. It wasn't quite the same for me. Please discuss.
Well, I quite liked it when it came back. The Cybermen come back, rather. And I didn't mind the look at them, but I couldn't stand the stomping. It was, oh dear. That it's not very subtle, to sneak up on people. In fact, even later on, I think Tennant said in another episode, "Didn't hear you coming. Did you put your legs on silent?" Even he recognised the fact that they're very noisy. It's weird, Yeah.
Well, as Stephen Braddock is saying here with this lovely avatar of Tennant and Piper together as the Doctor and Rose, stomp, stomp, stomp. That was one of the big differences, wasn't it, Phil, to our Cybermen?
It was, and I remember not long after it was announced that the Cybermen were coming back, there was a photo of a full sort of height photo of one of the new Cybermen. Yes. And I remember being really excited about it, thinking, that does look fabulous. It looks solid.
Yeah.
And then seeing them move and being a bit like, oh, okay. It's kind of, they're robots now.
Yeah.
They're not people, they're robots. And I remember being a little bit disappointed. But like Paul, I enjoyed it when I first saw it. I quite liked it. It was different, prefer a Mondasian Cyberman, but I quite enjoyed it.
Funky is saying to us here, guys, I'm always going to like any Cyberman story. And Cara is with us, Cara the Tolkien nerd. Now, she was with us on our headline show on Sunday, asking for recommendations, guys, for a Doctor Who story. Just so you know, she says, I ended up watching The Demons and The Green Death. I meant to email JT.
Told you so. Yeah.
I meant to email JT, but this week has run away with me. I know it is going fast, isn't it? And this show hopefully will pick everybody up from all the crappy rumors that are going on this week, the nonsense that's coming from alleged fans all over the alleged fandom. It's just, hopefully we're going to pick you all up with this look at the Cybermen. Davey B's with us, guys, saying as well, Before this episode, I'd only ever seen Cybermen in the Silver Nemesis on Gold, the channel, and part 1 of Earthshock with that DVD out of the Sun newspaper. Anyone remember them? Oh, yeah, I remember them. I've got them all upstairs.
Gold's a dangerous channel to put the Cybermen on, isn't it?
Yeah, that doesn't count anymore, though, does it?
It's not called that anymore. No.
No, they're not allergic to gold.
Oh, they're not allergic to gold or anything at all. No, they're virtually indestructible now. Sadly, yeah. So
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it takes something special to get around to them in this episode, doesn't it? Quite frankly, yeah. A lot of you tell us how old you were at this particular point, which is interesting as well. In his mid-20s is Rory O'Neill. John Roberts is saying to us, "You can't beat the Cybermen from the 5 Doctors."
Wholeheartedly agree.
I prefer the Nightmare in Silver Cybermen versions. We're coming to that later in the year, Farsight. Make sure you're subscribed.
Oh,
Marie
God.
UK, hello, lovely. And Stephen O'Neill is saying to us, on a somewhat trivial note, this story reintroduces the Cybermen's iconic teardrop motif after a 31-year absence. This aspect of their design had last appeared in 1975's TV Revenge of the Cybermen. Yeah, you're right there. I mean, we love a bit of trivia on this channel, don't we, guys?
Well, we do, yes.
So when are they going to bring back the flares from the Revenge of the Cybermen?
What do you mean
It's
they
only
didn't?
it's only a matter of time. Yeah. Well, they've got trainers on in this one, haven't they? They're wearing trainers.
Yeah.
Very strange defeat. That was one of the things that, I thought we'd get to, is how weird the feet are.
Yeah, there's who was it?
Like Sonic the Hedgehog's.
I bet, yeah.
They're like round trainery cartoon feet.
Let's ask Emilio and Kirsty, when the Cybermen are revealed, because it's a bit of a build-up, isn't it, really? You get them in a sort of Vaseline lens, because somebody had filled that Vaseline onto the lens on those things, and it's a bit blurry and stuff like that, and a bit arty. When they are actually revealed towards the end of the episode, what were your initial reactions?
Let's go.
When we were kids.
Yeah.
Quite cool. Kirsty said, I think they just had a quite iconic look to, and obviously I never watched the Cybermen before, so it was a very iconic kind of design. So it caught your attention as a kind of 10-year-old kid.
Okay, you agree with that?
Can I ask the young'uns on the panel? Did they scare you? I'd like to know if they did.
No.
Oh, you see.
Yeah.
You see that was I've always wondered that, because of course the Cybermen I only had the Cybermen really in Revenge of the Cybermen, and then that was it until Earthshock in 1982. But Revenge of the Cybermen as a little boy was enough to frighten me with those Cybermen things. That was enough. I mean, imagine what the kids of the 60s when they got all those classics coming along. Yeah. That's what I've always wondered, guys, about this version. Did they scare the children?
I don't think it. The thing is, I've never seen the Cybermen even post watching it. As I think the horror isn't in the design or in how they look. I think it's in the psychological element, or the psychological horror of what they go through, which is why I think the World of Nothing Time and the Doctor Fall does, especially that first part, does a great job of, the horror of what they're doing to humans. I do think they try to touch on that in the resolution to this, on the the emotional kind of impact of these as human beings have been put into this. But I think if you home in on that idea, and you can get a psychological horror from that, which this episode is a bit more kind of a almost like a bit more like a thriller, isn't it? It's a bit more kind of action packed. I don't think you can really get too much horror unless you go in that direction with the Cybermen.
It's interesting because Farsight is saying to us here, the emotional inhibitors were annoying. They aren't the Borg. And Bill Arry is saying these Cybermen were more robots than the previous ones. The earlier ones were closer to body horror than robots. Yeah. I mean, through these episodes, you do get the suggestion of all that CGI stuff, don't you? Which is looking really, 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 really dated now, to be quite honest, doesn't it? It hasn't aged very well, but at the time it looked okay. But it's another one of my little excuses of, referring back to things, saying, don't look at them with rose-tinted specs, these episodes, because they don't deserve it. But that CGI is very sort of jarring now. But at the time, I remember that's the closest you're going to get to seeing the operation of these things.
So I watched it with Teddy over the last couple of nights. Yes. And he didn't like those bits, the bits where you've got the kind of arms coming down with the knives and the whizzy bits. Those are the bits where he was a little bit like, And I was like, "Oh, don't worry, it's Cybermen." But yeah,
right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So it's the
Cybermen
implication
himself,
of the process.
It was fine. Yeah. But I think
it's the implication of the process rather than the actual result of the process.
Yes, I think that was what he didn't like.
Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat. Hi, JT and panel. It was just impossible to take them seriously as looks like they were walking wearing flippers. The only worst ones were the Cyberlords, which I don't know about, of course.
Yeah, the Cyberlords are rotten. They really are.
Yeah.
Are they the ones with all the? I'm just changing the subject. Are they the ones with all the kind of Gallifreyan like hexagons and stuff all over?
And they've got they've caught the Time Lord collars, but they're metal. Yeah, that's the one.
The ones
I
you
saw
saw at the
them in
exhibition.
Peterborough. Yeah, I thought they looked quite cool.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Well, maybe face to face they do on telly. They were rubbish. They were really rubbish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thanks for that, Mark. Appreciate that. And Jess is saying, wherever you are, here's to some semblance of sanity. Shout out to JT and the minions. Oh, bless them. And not forget. They don't look very yellow to me. What are you saying? Now, this is interesting from Stephen O'Neill. The early drafts of this story featured body shops where wealthy people would purchase new cybernetic limbs. RTD vetoed this element because he found it unbelievable. Well, there's a big hypocrite there then, really, I would say.
He changed his mind now, hasn't he? Let's be honest. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about, though, in case you'll all be aware of this as well, but, there is a shout out here to Mark Platt in the credits. Now, when I heard that Mark Platt was involved with this, I assumed he was writing the story, and then it comes out to be Tom McRae. But it was obvious here that they wanted a genesis of the Cybermen story.
Yeah.
And RTD has gone on record, I'm going to say allegedly at this point, but it's here on the internet. You all know it. You can all look it up.
It must be true then. Yeah.
He was inspired by Big Finish's play Spare Parts.
Yeah.
Which actually is infinitely superior to these two episodes.
I would say so as well. It's a great story. It's one of their best ones they've done, and it's. I'm glad you got a credit for it. But it's interesting you say that it's a Genesis story because who knew you've got a villain who's in a wheelchair? Who thought that was possible? Yeah, who's very like Davros, kind of, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. There he is. There and played, of course, with glee, absolute glee by a British telly. Well-known face, and he was enjoying every single minute of this, wasn't he, Mr. Roger?
Do you think he was channeling Richard Briers from Paradise Town? I think he's terrible in this. He really is.
I do think he's awful in it. Yeah,
he's awful. Yeah.
He's having a great time, though. He's having a lovely time, isn't he? He's enjoying it.
At least he is. That's the good part. Yeah.
What did you think?
I can't take him seriously. I just see Trigger on the screen.
He should be only a broom, shouldn't he? Really, to be honest. Yeah.
That's terrible. That's awful, isn't it? Well, apparently this was a story that was inspired by the 2002 audio play from Big Finish by Mark Platt. RTD had decided he wanted a two-parter, and the Rise of Cybermen and the Age of Steel to be loosely adapted from the play, just as he had done the year before with Dalek from Jubilee. Apparently, Mark Platt was paid a fee for Tom McRae using the basic concepts of Spare Parts and was given a credit for both Rise and Steel. The initial drafts of the parallels to Earth story were very close to Mondas's depiction in Spare Parts as a dying world. Now, that all seems to be lost in the other bit because I can't see those elements coming through. And this is they get away with murder by saying this is a parallel Earth, don't they? They can do whatever they want here.
Yeah. As we were saying earlier, I think the Mondasian Cybermen and the Capaldi one's much better because that sells that idea much better. They were much braver and darker, but they weren't so brave on this one, making it quite so dark because it does lose that kind of body horror thing, they have later on. And they are, as Phil said, they're very much come across as robots, but they try to get across the fact that they are human beings as well with the process. And as someone mentioned, the emotional inhibitor thing as well. They're trying to get across the fact, and the fact you have a woman at the end who's missed her wedding because she's been cybernized. What an excuse! Yeah.
Wish I'd thought of it.
Julie Answorth is saying, I couldn't make it through a rewatch. The combination of Tennant, stompy Cybermen, and knowing where Modern Who ended up just puts me off. It was nowhere near as good as the excellent Spare Parts. That's a fair point, actually. And Dalek Shalom, hello to you. Genesis of the Daleks rehashed with the decision changed. Jess Corbin is asking, did he get wheelchair training? Wheeling those things ain't easy. That's very true. And Darren wants to know, why did they even bother with the parallel Earth? Now, Darren, I have to say, I was rewatching this for the first time since 2006, I asked myself exactly the same question. What was the point in doing a parallel Earth apart from setting it up for Rose's departure? Do you think that was the real thing?
That's exactly what it is.
Because we've already got Cybermen in our universe.
Yeah, so why not just bring them in?
Well, yeah, I don't think we needed an origin story, to be fair. But
No.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
one,
if you
really,
want to do
didn't
an
we?
origin one, we've already got Cybermen. I suppose
Yeah.
that we could have gone back in time. There's a time travel element in Doctor Who, isn't there? They could have employed.
You wouldn't know it
Sometimes,
these
yes.
days. Yeah, I think on a rewatch, I think it was basically, Darren, just to set up this place where Rose is going to end up living in a few episodes' time.
And it ties up bringing back Parallel Earth Pete as well, because Pete's dead in the real world. So it's a way of bringing them all together at the end, isn't it? With Jackie and Pete getting together, but the alternate ones, obviously, you know.
I just think it was a shame because the likes of Emilio and Kirsty and all the other young'uns in the chat there, this was a different breed of Cybermen. Yes, of course, they got to see how they originated on this parallel Earth, but was it? I'm going to ask you both. Was it confusing when you eventually caught up with the Mondas Cybermen?
No. I think well, when we get to the Mondas, the first time I saw the Mondastian Cybermen was actually in the World Enough in Time and the Doctor Fool, but Capaldi's Doctor does a good job in explaining that the Cybermen arise in all sorts of places, so it kind of fits in with that, right? That whether they're a human, whether the parallel Earth, Mondas, Earth, Cybermen will it's like almost like an inevitability, which I thought quite well explained, and it fits in with this basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't the Mondas Cybermen appear in Smith's era though?
No,
just
just the Iron Man Cybermen, as I called them.
Yeah.
But
Well, these are kind of Iron Man
not-
Cybermen as well, a bit, aren't they? These Lumic ones as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
We've got Darren Reed saying to us, New Who starts to rewrite the law. The TARDIS is a machine, sentient, yes, but not grown. I agree with that as well, Darren. And Craig Dunlop said, with that beautiful picture again of a Mondas Cyberman there, absolutely gorgeous and very horrific. To be fair, the parallel Earth gave Mickey's character a good development arc. Well, something needed to.
Well, I liked Mickey in this because I didn't like him in season 1, and I loved that idea of the fact that he's got a parallel universe version called Ricky, which is a great joke they kept running on from Eccleston, because he kept calling him Ricky in season 1, didn't he? And that was a nice touch. I like that. And actually, Noel Clark quite funny in this story, I think, to be honest.
I think the character's treated very badly in this. I think the character of Mickey is treated very badly.
Oh, yeah.
By the Doctor in this. And that's one of the things I found a bit uncomfortable at the start. It's like, why is the Doctor stealing his girlfriend and being an arse about it? And
is it just me, or is Rose a moany cow as well? Is that just
awful.
Me?
I'd have left her there. I'd have probably taken Mickey home, to be fair. Like, come on, Mickey, lad, we're going pub. I think
very beginning when it starts, when he's got his finger on the button and they're just laughing. I was like, the Doctor's not a bully.
Yeah.
Watching it, I was like, nah.
No, they're trying to play the kind of like just the boyfriend, girlfriend, insufferable nonsense. What I don't like is I do like the resolution in Mickey's story, and he definitely needed it for sure. But I do think it was a little bit too. When now I rewatched it again, I probably didn't notice it when I was a kid, but it's a bit on the nose a little bit when they do that kind of separation by the Thames, where basically like he makes it very obvious. I'm the fair part, and basically he says, if I don't find something better, it kind of just too obvious. I would have preferred it had they done that a little bit more subtly. Then at the end, you're surprised that actually he decided to stay. And I think it would have given a character a little bit more, like if that was more subtle. I think it was just a little bit too on the nose for me. Now I've rewatched it.
It's a good point. But again, Emilio, what I think what's going on here is, as this whole series is, it's all about Rose.
Yeah.
I mean, you've just come from, a couple of episodes before School Reunion, which is deliberately reintroduced Sarah Jane Smith to say, look, the Doctor has had previous companions, and it's setting up Rose's departure all the way through. So Mickey being in the parallel world is a great way for them to say, well, he's going to be there waiting for her. Because the whole season, if you think about this whole second season, it's all about Rose and how she and the Doctor are getting extremely cocky.
Yeah, and they're really smug and irritating in this season, aren't they, as well? Which I find hard to watch, because they're not. You don't kind of warm to them much, do you, in this story, particularly?
Well, we mentioned this, didn't we, when we reviewed the Satan Pit?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago now, and we mentioned this because this is a continuation, but it's here again. You know, the fact that Rose, when she realizes she's in a parallel world and she realizes that there's a version of her father there, she's bloody minded. She's going to go and see him. She doesn't care about the consequences. She doesn't care about Mickey, Emilio. Oh, he's gone. He's gone. I mean, he's history as far as she's concerned. She didn't even want him on board the TARDIS. She's going. And as Kirsty's pointing out, this Doctor that we've got here, he is a bit bullyish towards Mickey. He's completely forgotten him about as well, because the whole universe runs around Rose.
I love the fact that Rose gets comeuppance, though, when it turns out the parallel version of her's a dog. That's superb.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I love the fact that the Doctor laughs at that. That's actually
that's a nice moment. It really is. Yeah.
But what I find quite weird is that she does say in the episode, because obviously I do think it was a nice touch to have Mickey visit his grandmother, and obviously she slipped down the stairs, and he obviously felt really guilty about it. But then she talking to the Doctor to say, "Oh yeah, we just take Mickey for granted." It's like, well, then stop being such a dick. No offense. If you're clearly self-aware enough to recognise it, then why don't you put your words into action? It just doesn't really add up to me.
But Rose is so fickle in this episode as well, because when I think towards the end of episode 1, when she's lost, Mickey's gone away, you know, and he comes back with Ricky and the preachers and everything, Jake and all that, and Mrs. Moore, they all come back, and she gives him a big hug, like she's missed him for like half an hour, and she's like really affectionate with him. It's like, well, you weren't showing that earlier on, you've just been a cow to him, so what's going on, you know?
Exactly, and there's that lack of consistency. She's obviously in this point where she doesn't want him around, but she does, you know, because he's been around. They've been dating for so many years. She knows that this is the whole thing I don't like about this Who viewers. This is where the soap element comes into Doctor Who, and I can't bear it. I can't stand all this kitchen sink crap in my science fiction. And the fact is, these stories with Rose really highlight it more. With the fact is, if you set something in what is our Earth in the real world, you get questions being asked, and I'm very uncomfortable with the relationship side of stuff, because these relationships, as we know in hindsight, and more so from being slapped in the face with it in Gatwa's era, it's all sexual connotations. You know, who's with who?
Do you think, JT, that's more down to the execution of it? Because you take the idea of, I've got a companion who's had a boyfriend, and basically the Doctor comes into their life, and obviously, you know, that person is kind of like second Beth, basically, and that person quite a nervous wreck, not really like, you know, hasn't got really much about them. But, you know, there's an arc there where they basically grow and become independent and kind of stand up for themselves and see that, you know, kind of put some self-worth on themselves. I think you can have that storyline on this, you know, kind of bubbling behind the surface, and that arc could be told, but I just don't think it's actually executed at all very well. If I take the start point and the end point, I get that logically, I can get on board with that, but it's just the way it's executed that I think makes it difficult.
I think you're absolutely right, because I remember Emilio being slightly older than you when this was broadcast in 2006. What are you frowning at?
Just a little bit older.
Teensy-weensy bit, all right. And I remember watching this entire series being uncomfortable, because in series 1 we'd had the whole thing about this them shoehorning in the kitchen sink element. Will they or won't they between the Doctor and Rose? It continues now with the Doctor, even though he's regenerated, which is lazy in a sense. The relationship should have changed, and there was an element of I think, looking at it now with all these years, it's all about, as I say, it's all about Rose and getting to where she needs to be in the next cyber story.
What would have been quite nice, JT, actually, if there was a change in the Doctor's persona towards Rose, he could have done a Colin Baker and strangled her in the Christmas Invasion. that was quite good.
Good to see you all in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Davey B is saying to us, the grand scene is always memorable, but the fact Rose thinks Pete would suddenly accept her as a daughter, I would have taken the dog. Yeah, I mean, that whole message.
So would I. Yeah.
The doctor tells her over and over again, this isn't your mother, this isn't your father, but she's not listening to him. She's still arrogant enough, I think, to push. Yeah. And the poor guy runs a mile as anyone would.
I love it though when Jackie, she's sitting talking to Jackie about what her mum's like and all that, and then Jackie turns on her. That's brilliant. It serves you right. You know what I'm saying?
That was good. But for me, the problem is it doesn't show any actual evolution in the character. You should have learned your lesson from Father's Day, right? Yeah. Which the whole point is the doctor gets completely mad at her and says, you know, you just can't change time. So when the doctor basically saying to you, you can't see her, you need to leave that be. She should be like, oh yeah, you know, I cocked up last time, so I better not do it this time. So again, it doesn't really show much development, does it? Really?
Yeah.
And he's doing exactly the same thing as well. Don't talk to your dad. Oh, there's my dad. I'm going to talk to him again.
Yeah. How many chances does she get to talk to her dead father?
Well, I explained to Ted that, that's dad. He said, oh, is this the first time he's seen her? I'm like, no, I think last season he saw her as well. Saw him as well. Pretty much every year or so she sees him.
You've got a great point there, Emilio. I've not actually thought about that before, and I think it's one of the reasons that Rose in these episodes bugs me when she's faced with the fact that, oh, he's here, I'm gonna go. I think it's that. I think it's the fact that she's done it once before and she's not learned. So what's the point in time traveling with the doctor if you're not going to learn from your adventures, because you're going to make the same mistake? So again, that's a great point. That's lazy script writing, really, isn't it? Script editing.
Christopher Eccleston said at that point, I've chosen another stupid agent. Like, well, you've done that to me once. You said you're sorry. You've done it to me twice. If I'm the doctor, I'm like, well, screw this. Actually, Mickey is sensible. He's not going to try and do crazy crap like that. So, you know, exactly. You know, Mickey's the better choice here.
Yeah. It is a good point though. There should have been a scene where he's really saying to her, "You did this once before. Remember?" It's as though they've conveniently forgotten. And because I feel like you've educated me there slightly, Amelia, because I feel like I've forgotten Father's Day as well, which I have. But, you know, at the point I hadn't, because it was coming the year after. That's a brilliant point. So 10 points to Emilio there, I think.
Oh, thank you, JT. Just to add on that, I think that's the problem about, I actually like the Christopher Eccleston Rose relationship, because there is that, I would say, slightly more paternal kind of daughterly relationship. And there's a bit more conflict there in their relationship throughout season 1. They do conflict and do fight with each other on certain things. Whereas with the 10th Doctor, there isn't any of that. It's all pally and lovey. And you need that conflict between the Doctor and the companion. It needs a little bit of that. And it just isn't that at all. The only bit you do get is a bit in School Reunion, but that's literally it, if I can remember correctly.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
I'll let me know. Yeah, is it right, Kirst? Is it right? We've got
in School's Reunion because she's a dinner lady and he's a teacher, and I think she was just, because she was a bossy cow, she was just getting a bit jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of Sarah's as well, right? Like, just she gets jealous of, and also do you just leave your companion behind? There's a little bit of that, but apart from that, there just isn't enough there to, keep you interested in their dynamic. It just, when it's too easy and nice, it's like, I know they may be doing that on purpose to set up the end, but I think just as a viewer, it doesn't keep me engaged.
The only reason I say that is because we know now what happens at the end. At that point, when it was broadcast, of course, we did not know what was going to happen at the end. But when you watch it with the benefit of hindsight, of course, you can see what they're doing. What with the introduction of Liz back as Sarah, and then this and this, putting Mickey in a certain place, getting Pete's double in here as well, taking the Jackie version away in this episode and cybernizing her. When you get to those end 2 episodes, and we are going to come to those on the show here on Whose Views, everyone, you go, oh, right. So at the time, it looks quite clever, but with hindsight, it just looks like they wrote 4 parts.
Yeah.
Both
directed by Graham Harper, of course. As well. Yeah. You have to give him credit for this, because although I didn't enjoy this story as much as I had previously watching it, his action sequences are brilliant. They really are.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you like the Cybermen or not, the way they're shot is really well done, and their actual initial first appearance. I know that you said it's out of focus kind of thing, you know, but when they start marching towards the house and then they break through the windows, that's a great entrance for them. Really good, you know.
Yeah. I mean, we have to give a shout out to Graham Harper, because I was quite excited when it was announced Graham Harper was coming back to Doctor Who, the first and actually last director who was on the original series to come back. And I was really excited, thinking, now this is going to be good. Oh, he's doing 2 episodes. How good. And then later on, realized, oh, God, he's doing more.
Yeah.
And the adventure just, you know, the excitement ramped up, because all I saw was just explosions and tight camera angles. And it's not quite the same for me, though. I'm not quite sure.
I think he said something himself. There's an interview with him on the season 13 box set, and he talks about old Who and New Who. And the thing about New Who directors as compared to maybe classic Who, they're a similar style, and they're working more filmically, and that's what Graham Harper wanted to do. Whereas a lot of directors like Peter Moffat or people like that were much more kind of studio-based, kind of point a camera and hope for the best kind of thing, whereas he was more imaginative. And I think now with directors on New Who, they're all more imaginative because they've got the money and the kit to do it with, you know what I mean?
Not anymore.
Well, not anymore, but they did have, yeah. And when they did have, yeah.
They did have, but again, we would say to them, I think for all the things I find I can nitpick with it, I enjoyed these 2 episodes far more than anything that was produced in recent years. Far more.
I mean, can't doubt. There's a lead story here to tell.
Yeah, well, I mean, it shows you, isn't it? I mean, this is one of the brilliant things about us doing reviews, is that, you know, we can actually now, with the reboot Who, actually compare it to itself, because they've insisted it's one long story. It's Doctors 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, I don't know, whichever it is. And they're insisting it's the right same thing, and it's one hell of a lifetime for the Doctor, continual bang, 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 bang. But you can see the quality has dropped enormously, because look at here, we've got the Age of Steel and Rise of the Cybermen, and they're good episodes. Probably not the most solid and my favourites of that series, of the second series, which I found to be a little bit lackluster coming off the hype of the first.
It's a bit hit or miss, isn't it, to be honest, season 2?
This season is, but I would think these are sort of the middle, oh, look, it's the Cybermen, hurrah, and that's all it sells it.
Yeah.
But compare it to anything we've had from 23, 24, 25, what have they done? Because this was at least drama that was watchable by millions. And with the Doctor, as much as I don't appreciate you know Mr. Tennant these days, I can sort of recognize what he's trying to do with it, because I know where he gets to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What have they done?
It would also be interesting to see the viewership for these episodes, because I remember it was the halfway point of this series. I think this was the first doubler that we had of a back-to-back episode that was a 2-parter, to see the viewership of this compared to now.
Oh, it was far higher.
A peak Saturday night entertainment.
It was. Well, I mean, this was the series that was beating Anton Deck, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You know, and that was unheard of at the time, wasn't it?
Do you remember the publicity for this season? They had a lovely Radio Times. We opened up and you had Tennant and Rose with all the monsters, with the Cybermen and the clockwork droids and stuff. It was great. A lovely little kind of montage of monsters, and kind of, it was like Radio Times special in a way, it onwards. It was quite nice.
Yeah, I can tell you, Kirsty, that Rise of the Cybermen. Now, bear in mind that the rating system from BARB wasn't overnights. It was different to how it is now, and it was far more straightforward. It was basically, this is it, this is what it got. But this episode, well, the first episode got 9.22 million.
Oh, wow. You could only dream for those figures now. Yeah.
What about the 28-day figures?
Yeah, they'd have to cook that quite some doing.
Yeah. 9.22 million. And that's for the first episode. It was similar for the next one, I'm sure.
Someone's put in the chat that part 2 was 7.64 million.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
it's quite a drop off, to be fair.
Yeah,
there might have been a reason for that. Yeah, there might have been a reason. I don't know.
Eurovision.
Thank you, Stephen. Yeah, Stephen's confirming. Oh no, that's Heretic. Hi, Heretic. Hi, everyone. I'm late to the show. Well, how very dare you? I love the Cybermen. They're my absolute favorite, but these are not Cybermen. Heretic, tell us more about what you mean by that. Please put it in the chat. And Stephen O'Neill, there he is, saying ratings for part 1 were 9.22 million and part 2 was 7.64. I think there might have been a reason why part 2
World
dropped.
Cup, 2006 World Cup potentially.
Yes, because we had the Radio Times front cover.
With the Daleks and Cybermen with the footballs, didn't they, as well? Yeah, later on.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it probably would have been the start of the World Cup.
Yeah. Here was Stephen Braddock saying to us, this was back when Doctor Who was still trying to be scary. I do remember the cover of the Radio Times had the cyber leader saying, "We are here to steal your children," which you wouldn't get away with now.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be allowed to. No, because unfortunately, Britain's a mess. Hayden, hello Hayden, how are you? I think different script writers seem to change the Rose character according to who was writing the episode, and in some episodes the Rose character seemed to change personally each episode. I think there's a point to that. I don't think it was the script. Yeah, I do actually. I think it was the script writers who got a briefing of what she was supposed to be like, maybe. But Russell was overseeing everything.
Well, there's a bit in it, at the party. There's a bit there at the party, and they're talking about they're trying to work out where they are and what the relationship and who, and they've got a president, and the doctor says, "Who told you that?" Rose says, "Who told you that?" Lucy, and then Rose says, "I think she's a bit thick." It's like that's such a nasty thing to say, but thick. Yeah.
Oh, on that, she goes. If I remember correctly, like Lucy, who. Like why are you talking to another woman?
Girlfriend.
That line, basically.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
And it's like the doctor behaving like a sheepish boyfriend. It's like, no, just Lucy.
Yeah. Again, I remember Emilio at the time, back in 2006, being really uncomfortable and thinking to himself, here we go again. Because by the Satan pit, Rose was really getting on my tits, I have to be honest. I really thought, get rid of her. I'm so glad she's going. And in these episodes, it was sort of, but this whole overprotectiveness towards him, which carries on actually until series 4.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of her at the end of this series either. There's going to be a lot of Rose fans not liking me now. We'll get letters. Please send all letters to Who's Views, BBC Television Centre, London, W12 8QT. Thank you very much. Paul Richards is saying to us here, Cybermen are more sinister when they are still slightly human rather than just brains in a suit. And then Heretics got back to say to us, guys, these are brains in a tin shell. They're nothing like the classic Cybermen. They hollowed them out and removed everything that made a Cyberman scary, the humanity behind the suit. That's a good point, isn't it? It's as though they were actually saying in the original Cybermen, the Mundasian Cybermen, were too frightening because of what they did with the cybernized process. Whereas here, they've taken the brain out and put it into a shell. Who is it? That's Ian?
Much nicer, isn't it, really?
I like the horrific element that, if you tore the Cybermen's, there was elements of them underneath.
Yeah,
like this is what the Cybermen do to you, and then he pulls his arm off, and he's got his robot arm.
Yeah,
Farsight Phil is pointing this out to us now. They're too much like a cross between the robots and the Borg. I think that's part of the problem here. That obviously they'd seen Star Trek: The Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager by this point, where the Borg had played, and First Contact, the movie. And they thought maybe they'd had
they're just returning the compliment, aren't they? Because Star Trek stole from us, didn't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
All fair in television, isn't it? Yeah.
Let's have a say and hello to Dirty Davros, who's in the chat with us saying, I liked it was a 2-part story. It wasn't rushed. I love the return of the cliffhanger. The Girl in the Fireplace would have been a better Cyberman story than this one. Oh, interesting, Dirty Davros.
I think the story was still quite rushed. And I'm going to say, my little boy, Teddy, he said, I think up until about the party scene in the first story, he's just come in to get a cake. He said, I don't really know what's going on, because there was a lot. You've got parallel universes, an ill man making Cybermen. You've got the preachers doing their thing. You've got Rose and her dead dad. You've got Mickey saying, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm going to go and see my gran.
Oh, my brain.
There is a lot going on, and it's all super condensed.
No, it should be a 3-parter, is what you're saying.
No,
more of it is what we need.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's a good point though, and I'm with Teddy on that one, because it's again because they're pushing all this soap opera element into it. Mark Reeves is saying to us there were script writers. Yeah, it's a running gag here on Who's Views, isn't it? That takes us right up to the war between the land and the sea, but we love it. Keep it coming. And Third Doctor Ian has just joined us, everybody. Yeah.
Oh,
how are you, sir?
Hello. I am all right, thank you. I hope you are all well too. What have I missed? What we're looking at? Remembrance of the Daleks?
Well,
Fantastic.
just killing time since you got here is fine. Yeah.
Yeah, we are here, of course, looking at Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel as part of our 60th anniversary of all things cyber in Doctor Who. Davey B is thinking Rose needed a jolly good smack bottom. Well, thank you for that, Davey. We all know what you're up to. Yes, indeed. Very outrageous indeed.
That wasn't Dirty Davros there, was it? Doing that, was it?
No. This is Dirty Davros, though, saying I liked it was a two-part story. It wasn't rushed. I love the return of the cliffhanger. Yeah, so no, I had that one, sorry. But yes, yeah, but yeah, I mean, yeah, I know what you mean, though. It's nice to have a cliffhanger in it.
Yeah, even though it is resolved like that. But
yeah,
With the magic of the TARDIS, yeah.
But also just before that cliffhanger, there's a lovely bit where it's what's his name, Dead Dad, the Doctor and Rose, and they go this way, and then they run about 4 steps, and then there's about 8 Cybermen walking towards them. They hadn't seen them because they were over 10 meters away.
Oh yeah. I love this.
But more importantly, hadn't heard them, because they did make a lot of stamping, didn't they? You'd have to be pretty deaf not to hear those, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Did you think the parallel Earth, they hadn't invented WD-40?
Yeah.
That was where the two Earths separated.
We should take the formula over there and make a fortune, quite frankly, couldn't we? Rick Storm, I like this one. The Zeppelins were straight out of the Iron Legion. Now, for all you young ones in the audience who won't know what the Iron Legion is, you should do, because it's been reprinted about 6,000 million times. But the Iron Legion, it was the first comic strip in Doctor Who Weekly, which is now, of course, Doctor Who magazine, starring the 4th Doctor, and it was brilliant. But there were Zeppelins in that. Do you remember, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, and here they are all over London as a blatant way of them saying you're in a parallel universe. Well, okay, net zero, blah blah blah.
I think there's also a scene with a Zeppelin in the background and a helicopter in the foreground, and then that didn't make sense to me, because I was like, we have helicopter technology, but we're choosing Zeppelins.
Weren't the Zeppelins described as like the upper classes of living kind of in the sky kind of thing?
Yeah.
Was it?
Something like that, yeah.
I was too much story going on. I didn't pick it up.
Yeah. That's where Peter Manderson lives now, apparently, in the sky. Yeah, allegedly. Yeah.
I do think they missed a trick, though, because I think if you're introducing a concept like parallel Earth, you need to, I think, spend time in setting up the reveal rather than just revealing it straight away. I would have much preferred, had there not been a Zeppelin there, and they're thinking it's normal Earth, and then there's things that just don't seem right, that builds up to, oh crap, we're on parallel Earth here. And I do think that what you were saying, Phil, about the fact that it's just too much, too crammed. I think had they just not used this 2-parter as a facilitator for the finale, and they focus on some of the ideas that are here, which are good, and just focused on pacing those out a little bit longer in a classic Who style a little bit as well, then I think it would have been a lot better. Even the idea of like homeless people being taken off the street. You should, I think there's an idea there, that need to be built on, and you could.
Is it just weird? The homeless people look too well fed to be homeless. They look too clean. They look too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't look like they've lived in the street for 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
They're showing homeless.
I mean, I don't know if it was just me, and it probably was, but with the homeless people, when I was making my notes, being a good boy, I did notice that this was the one time that Doctor Who didn't seem so obsessive about being diverse, was it? All the down and outs. They were all white, weren't they? Yeah. There was no diversity there. Maybe
We
that's
have
just
got
me.
Dawn Warrington as the president, though, which is good.
Yeah, but he's not down and out, is he? He's like top of the pile.
But at least he's in it as a representation. Though,
Very good actor as well. I love Dawn Warrington. I think he's brilliant.
It was brilliant. Yeah, it was absolutely. It was nice to see him in Doctor Who as well, because I know he'd done the audio. It was nice to see him here work, in television Doctor Who. But it also shows you again. We touched on this a little bit earlier, Ian. But what I was saying, and this ties in with your point, is what's happened, because of course this particular thing in 2006 was produced before all this DEI nonsense affected all of show business, the television. The BBC started to get the clipboard out and started to insist that all this was happening. And even though it's not one of the best of the Reboot Who episodes, it's far better. The 2 episodes here are far better than anything that's been produced in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not an RTD script, is it? But you do see, for example, we have a baddie that's in a wheelchair, which obviously now you wouldn't get, although it's the same producer. But I did notice something as well. I mean, again, maybe I'm just being a bit picky, but I've got down here a quote from Rose when she was talking to the Doctor in the first part, talking about Mickey's grandma. Such a great woman. She used to slap him and laughing. And then the Doctor laughed. And I'm like, really? Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
You just, I don't know, maybe because it was domestic violence against a male. I don't know. But it just... Even 2006, it didn't feel right. And I think if I remember back when it was originally on, it made me cringe a little bit as well, because it's laughing about it, isn't it? In the same way that Gat was laughing when a man gets his fertilized egg swept up and put in the rubbish. It's the same kind of thing, really. So
it shows you how. Sorry, Emilio.
Sorry, Jesse. I thought that was like a cultural kind of stereotype, because I know my brother. And I used to talk about his friends, and a lot of his friends were black and stuff, because the school he went to, way more diverse than the school I went to. And he used to tell me that his friend, like mum, would slap them, and grandmother would do that. Like I was kind of thinking it more of a kind of cultural reference to his background.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
But that's how I kind of took it.
I think it's more.
It was 2006 as well. It's a different time, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, the BBC depiction now, it's a version of domestic violence, and it's against a male, so it's funny. Yeah. And you look back to just last year, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed at all, really.
We've got Paul Richards with us, guys, saying, "Oh, Philip," which is a quote, of course, from Rising Damp. Great actor Don Warrington. Deborah Watling was in an episode of Rising Damp. She was, and it was repeated recently on the old television, and I saw it. I was like, "Oh my God, there's Debbie Watling, who was fabulous." And Phil, do you remember? She liked a little drinky, didn't she? Remember, Phil? We've also got Stephen O'Neill with us here saying, according to an interview with Andrew Hayden Smith and comments given by RTD in a press conference, Ricky and Jake were initially intended to be gay and to be lovers. Well, they were. It's actually in the show, isn't it?
Well, it's in the edited scenes, the deleted scenes on the box set. It's not in the episode, bizarre. They weren't brave enough to put it in the episode. But you get a comedy reaction from Noel Clarke realizing that he can't replace Ricky because he tells him he's his boyfriend. That was the kind of gag.
But I thought that's what that whole "you can't replace him," but you're not him, you can't replace him. I thought that's what all of that meant.
Yeah.
And it's also played.
It was a little bit simping, wasn't it? It was very simping. But I mean, at the end, that cut scene that Paul's alluding to, absolutely right. I mean, he said he was the best boyfriend I ever had. I mean, nowadays, RTD would have done a full-on deep penetration shot, wouldn't he? Let's be right, in the back of the van. Let's not mess around.
But the whole thing about it wasn't lost on an audience. I mean, because when they're on the hill opposite Battersea, and he's told, "Oh, Ricky's dead," you can tell. It's just, I mean, that's how it should be done. If you're going to do any of the nonsense, it should be done very subtly like that. Julie Ann's with us as well, saying 2 episodes of whiny, clingy, egocentric girlfriend and stompy stomp and waiting for Trigger to call someone Dave.
The Doctor maybe would have been good, yeah.
That would have been quite funny, yeah. Jess Corbin is saying, were those costumes actual metal? And if so, who kept them polished? They weren't. The brilliant thing about exhibitions these days, Jess, is you can actually touch the props.
Well, you can hear them. You can hear the plastic clanking or clicking as they walk past them, can't you? So yeah.
I've touched many of them, Madam Meat. With the Cybermen, I couldn't resist and just went tap tap tap, and it's like plastic. It was just silly. It's cheap. They were very cheap, and you could actually see when you got up close to them as well. I don't know if you had this experience, Phil, recently. Oh, mind you, yours were done by professional fans, weren't they?
Actual people. Yeah, probably.
But the original ones, you could actually see the brush marks on them as well, where they painted.
I think
Proper Doctor Who, actually.
You remember the 50th anniversary thing at the Excel Centre?
Yeah.
One of the talks there, I'm sure they said that they made it with some kind of powdered metal in the plastic or something, and that's why
something like that. Yeah,
metallic.
Yeah.
RTD was very keen, I believe, thinking back, and I agree with him on this. He was very keen that the Cybermen appeared steel rather than silver.
Yeah,
and I think that was a good call. To be fair, credit where it's due. I think that
They also wanted the contrast to the bronze of the Daleks for some bizarre reason. Do you remember? He said that in an interview as well. The Daleks are bronze, the Cybermen are silver. Okay, whatever. Wherever you're going with it, I still don't understand why, because it's one of those many things we don't understand why we've got bronze Daleks to this day. You couldn't make this in London in 2026 because the crew would have all the equipment stolen. Says Dirty Dalek. Welcome to Khan City. It's absolutely true. Dalek Shalom, you're right on that one. Absolutely. And Mark Greaves, thank you for your super chat. RTD holding onto the edge of a cliff by a fraying rope with Gatwa hanging onto his ankles. Now that's a cliffhanger worth watching. Yes. Okie dokie. Rick Storm. Hi, Rick. I like to think that the proper Cybermen wiped out the Cyber Swans or just plain assimilated them. Yeah, I'm the same with you. With the Cybermen, I don't think there were any Cybermen left in our world, which I don't know. I get confused with it all now. I'm going to say our world in the end of the series because they were all supposedly sucked back through that thing, allegedly, weren't they? But
they come back in Next Doctor, don't they, as well? So the same Cybermen, don't they?
We are coming to all these, so this is something we're going to talk about together as part of my therapy. Yeah.
Talking of the Cybermen, though, what's interesting, they did have the design was very kind of had influences on the kind of 60s Cybermen, like the moon-based ones or the tomb ones. And what I did like about the fact they had that light in their mouth that would go on when they spoke, it was a bit like the tomb ones where the jaw would drop down when they spoke. Similar kind of idea, which is a nice touch, I thought. You know?
Yeah. Personally, my favourite moment is when they're in the tunnel area with Miss Moore, and then they realise that they're coming, and the way that the head moves. I thought, and in the dark, I thought that worked really well. And I just think I do think the design looked a lot better when it's in the dark and not.
It just hit the nail on the head. This is the whole thing about the Cybermen. For years, especially in the wilderness years, people were looking back, and I'm talking about producers and scriptwriters and, Uncle Terry and stuff like this. And I'm fans ourselves, and we all agreed that one of the beautiful things about the Cybermen was because they could come out of the darkness at you and you wouldn't know it. Yeah. Now, I like this scene. I like this scene that you're talking about, Emilio, when I first saw it when it was broadcast in 2006, and I appreciated it again now because here's the Doctor with a companion of sorts, moving through a tunnel or in the darkness filled with Cybermen. That, to me, is what Doctor Who should be. This is like the invasion in that style of stuff, isn't it, really? It's got that. And it is quite spooky, and I appreciate it. And the fact that I have to... Can I just give a shout-out as well at the moment to Mrs. Moore? I think what a great character.
I really like her.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah. There's something about her, Phil, isn't there?
Yeah, she's practical, and she's kind of... Yeah, she's just getting on with it. I wish she would have gone with the Doctor. Leave Rosa. I'm not abandoning Mickey. Mickey, you can still come along. We'll go back.
And what was interesting?
I mean, she was dead, so it would have been awkward, wouldn't it? But
I was going to say it's interesting that Tennant Doctor, in my opinion, if I look at, you can take Catherine Tate, for example, you can take Adelaide Brooke, you can take Miss Moore. I think his Doctor does a lot better when he's paired with an older woman, a more mature woman who, knows themselves. I think it brings the best out of his Doctor. Whereas I think when you go for like young Rose, I just don't think that works as well. And I always enjoy it when he's paired with an older companion. Yeah. Even Wilf, for example, as well.
I agree.
I was shocked and really quite sad when she did get killed by the Cyberman at that point because she had more to give, I think, as a character, definitely,
It was a shock, though, wasn't it, Kirsten? This wasn't expected. This made me jump at the time.
Watching it again, it's quite a quick and fast bump off. If they were going to kill her, I think it could have been done in an even better hero sort of make it big and dramatic. It was quite the story for me a bit faster. Like, oh, she goes.
Yeah. Probably because they needed to get rid of her at that point because they had to get up to where the cyber controller is, maybe. But I would have liked to have seen her survive I mean, because I sort of knew something was going to happen back in the day watching this, simply because she started to tell the Doctor who she was. Yeah. She was being honest. And I thought there's a reason for this plot-wise. And then a few minutes later, zap, she gets electrocuted by a Cyberman, which is new, quite frankly. But it's a shame because I agree with Emilio. I think the Doctor, whether it be Tennant or Smith or whomever, works actually better with an older female companion rather than these young girls who are there just so young girls can have somebody to be represented by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rose looking up to Rose. I mean, a bit dodgy there, isn't it? But it's a shame. And Mrs. Moore, I love Mrs. Moore. What a great character she is. Fantastic character.
At least you can give this series that it's willing to kill off characters that you like, and that death is an actual real thing. Because too many times in the newer stuff, even the past 10 years anyway, it's almost like everyone got bulletproof. Basically, death is not a thing. So I think the fact that they gave you a shock death, and it's a character that I'm pretty sure everyone watching liked. I think again, I can appreciate that from a TV standpoint, basically.
Yeah. Why do Cybermen always get thrown in the sewers? My poor boys, that's funky for a super chat. Well, because it suits them, quite frankly, because it's very dark and mysterious. And I think possibly with better designs, it would suit them better. But when they're stationary, they look all right. It's just when they start stomping around. I mean, how did you not hear them coming up behind them?
Yeah.
That's a fair point. So they have some WD-40, just not a lot. Really world building.
Well, it's like Paul said earlier at the beginning of the show. It's as though the Doctor actually says to them, "Oh, you can switch it off, can you?" You know.
Yeah. And the next Doctor says, "Yeah, I didn't hear you sneaking up. You put your legs on silent," which is a very funny line. They could have put it in here as well because they're good at recycling old lines in New Who, aren't they? So
yeah. Mrs. Moore was killed by a Biblesman wearing slippers, says Darren Reed. And Stephen Braddock is saying, I agree. Look at Adelaide in Waters of Mars, which is what Amelia was saying. And then, of course, we've got Donna. And somebody did mention, and I'll mention it considering the origins of this story, we've got a Heretic saying Evelyn Smythe with the Sixth Doctor in Big Finish, probably one of the most popular companions that Big Finish has ever produced.
Great character, yeah.
Wonderful character, but she was about 60, wasn't she? The character.
Yeah.
And it worked beautifully, They're very frightened of putting women of a certain age in Doctor Who, aren't they? And they shouldn't, or in any television really, but they shouldn't be in Doctor Who because when you've got a Time Lord who's now God knows how old he is. I don't know how old he is now. I've lost count. But it doesn't matter, does it really, if you've got a late 50s or 60-year-old actress with him?
If they're a good character and the good chemistry, why not?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's better when there's a big age difference between the actor playing the Doctor and the companion because it stops that kind of Dr. Rose chumminess. It's like we're not the same, if you know what I mean. Like the Doctor and Rose get too pally, whereas if there's this big age difference, I think one of them becomes the mentor almost, and the other is the mentee, and it's a more kind of, I don't know, parental relationship, that kind of thing.
Right.
Is mentee a word, Phil?
I'm not sure.
It is now, but it's fine.
Can we start that? Mentee.
Yes, it is. It's a word. Always reminds me, though. It reminds me of Sill for some bizarre reason.
It sounds like a pack of mints you buy in the shop.
Just a little bit, doesn't it? Breath freshener.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm just going to put up now, if I may, everybody, a quick review from one of our youngest viewers here on Who's Views. Coming up over from his channel is the one and only Mr. Teddy Reggie Rock. Have a look at this.
I really enjoyed the series kind of thing. And my favourite part was when the Cybermen were crashing the party on the parallel world. and I really think the Cybermen were cool, and I maybe like them better than the old ones.
Excuse me.
So obviously,
He was doing so well till the end there. That's all I'm saying.
How very dare!
It'll be on eBay tomorrow. So if anyone wants it,
that boy needs to watch Earthshock immediately.
Oh, he'll love that. He will. He must do. Yeah.
If only it's to traumatize him at the end of it.
I did get really, really into it. And there's that bit when they're in the kind of control room of the airship, Mickey and Jake, and they've got that kind of static Cyberman, and they're doing loads of stuff around it. And Ted kept going, "Don't come alive! Don't do anything! Don't do anything to them." He was literally saying it. He was really into it. It was simultaneously great and epically disappointing. I love that you love it, but also it's awful. But then, I mean, he's the same age as you would have been, Emilio, or he's a year older. But
I think they got the thing is that I think I can see why he might say that the new Cybermen refer to the old one, just because I think they got a bit more presence to them. You know, there's a bit just on screen more presence, and as I say, quite a dark design that they did, although it's not necessarily my favorite. But I can see as being a 10-year-old, and also it's very boy, very cool. I get it. It's, I used to think the way he did, and then I kind of grew up a little bit, and then I was like, no, the Gassy and Cybermen are not my favorite.
You grew up, that's it.
Yeah, I grew up.
Let's show him Earthshock.
He will get there. He will join you, Phil.
He will.
Yeah. We'll show him the 5 Doctors. Yeah. Attack of the Cybermen. Ooh, that's
You've seen Attack of the Cybermen.
Oh, that'd be interesting to see what he takes on that when we come to look at that.
Ask him if he preferred it to Rise of the Cybermen, Phil. We need to know.
He's got to.
We've got this interesting point
You'll
here.
force him to, yeah.
Threatening him.
Funky and Stephen are having this chat here, and I think this is interesting. Looking back, almost everything in this story is taken from some other story. That's a good point.
Inferno, Parallel Earth. You've got a mixture, a little bit of that in there. Yeah, I can see it, but I guess it's how you utilize it. I mean, it's fine to take ideas if it's utilized well. I think this is very hit and miss in certain respects, and if they spent a bit more time on certain aspects, then they could have hit the nail. Is there anything massively original about it? Probably not, but maybe they wanted to pick safe. If you're going to introduce the Cybermen, you're not going to go something massively experimental, are you? And if you're introducing that to a new audience, so I can see why you would want to use the ideas, if that makes sense, that has happened before.
Yeah. And that's another good point. You know, it's something I do forget is that 2006, this is only series 2 after 15 years off the air. So they're reintroducing this character. And in a sense, they can't worry too much about us old hands who are coming into this, hence why they've rebooted this slightly. That's probably the reason they set it in a parallel world, so that they can have the 2 different things and start again with their own versions, which is what they should have done really from maybe 2017 onwards. Oh, I'm sorry, controversial. It's a good point. It's a good point, that, isn't it? Yeah. Darren Reed's asking us all panel, what did you think of the delete cyber catchphrase? Go on.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's even worse when it's maximum deletion. That
Yeah,
doesn't
what does that mean?
make sense.
No.
Deleting something is getting rid of it.
Yeah, you're dead or you're dead, aren't you? There's
Yeah.
no maximum deletion. It's like maximum
You're
extermination. It's
really
bizarre.
getting
Yeah,
rid
yeah.
Sounds like the equivalent of somebody that keeps clicking on the mouse button when it's just slow to respond. You know, you need to delete once. You don't need to
deletion.
I mean, you need to delete, and then the next phrase should be empty recycle bin, really, shouldn't it? I mean, that's pretty much
Well,
it.
I kept expecting on the cliffhanger you've got delete, 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 and I kept expecting Blondie to kick in any minute. You know what
From my point of view, I agree with the rest of the panel. Why give the Cybermen a catchphrase? Oh, because it looks good on a T-shirt, or a toy might say it, just like the Daleks do. Absolute nonsense, and it gets nonsensical in the next time when the Daleks eventually meet the Cybermen for the first time. You know, and we're going to come to that later on in the year. That whole delete, exterminate, it was just silly. I think the kids might like it. I don't know, because I wasn't a kid at the time, but it grates on me. And I just think, no, you've done that purely because it looks good on a T-shirt.
Well, I need to ask, was Kirsty and Emilio in the playground going delete when you were 10 and 12? Were you doing that in the playground? No?
I found it annoying as a kid. And I think actually the fact that you put these humans into some, kind of cybernetic suits, I actually prefer it if the Cybermen didn't talk at all. I think it would be even more powerful.
Well, that's it. When you stand still, the bits when I think Ricky falls off the fence, and they're just standing there, stock still, blank faces. That's really powerful, isn't it?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, John Roberts. Look, John Roberts is saying, I never rewatch any of New Who from this period because I can't bear it. Oh, bless you. Yeah, I get it. I get it. And then we've got Funky saying, excellent, or you will be like us are far better catchphrases. Now, the you will be like us is certainly, because, it just goes straight there, doesn't it? That's terrifying if you're a kid. You're faced with these silver giants, and they're not really giants.
Say something like that in this.
Something similar, but
they did once.
Which was, I think, is a homage to, because when this was broadcast, don't forget, it was the 40th anniversary of the Cybermen. It was, that year was the 40th.
Okay.
I do quite like excellent's quite a good catchphrase, but they make them sound like Bill and Ted, don't they? To be honest,
it doesn't work. I don't like the voice as well, but we'll come to that. Paul Ashworth, hello, mate. Thank you for your super chat. Cyber Himfinity, Cyber Bloke Unleashed, Cyber Chap Elite, Cyber Bro Max, Cyber Him Possible, Cyber Him Credible, Cyber Him Lovely, Cyber Him Imagination, Spot the Pronouns. Hello, Russell. Elite.
Excellent.
Yeah, very good.
That is brilliant. We've got some fantastic people as part of our family here on Who's Views, haven't we? That is brilliant, PTA. Well done. That's just don't give him ideas, though. I've told you before, because he watches and he writes it all down. Honestly. But no, very good. Marie is saying to us, I prefer Resistance is Futile, which was nicked by that other science fiction lot, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
Naughty. And you belong to us. You will be like us, says Steve Braddock. Yeah. Let me talk about the voice. I've got to get this off my chest. I hate this voice, the cyber voice here. I mean, it's just so, I don't know. I mean, it's trying to be like the 60s Cybermen, but it doesn't quite pull it off me. There's something about this that's just, I don't find it. And a heretic, you may think that, but we couldn't possibly comment.
But could agree, though.
yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what you guys think about this. But be honest, there's just something about this particular voice I just can't get. And okay, it was handy for the toys and the cyber helmet that came through and all this sort of stuff. But it doesn't just. I don't find it scary at all. It's like another robot.
It's quite high, I think. It sounds similar to a Dalek. And in the later ones where you've got Daleks and Cybermen together, I think they're a bit too similar.
Yeah.
Whereas the Cybermen I associate with being either quite drony and low-pitched or quite earth-shocky, excellent, low-pitched. I don't know. Yeah, it sounds a bit Dalek-y to me.
I was infuriated when on the audiobook that Annika Wills read of the Moonbase, they changed the Cybermen voices from that fantastic 60s voice to the ones from Rise of the Cybermen. I was outraged. I was absolutely outraged. But it was Nick Briggs again, so it was cash in the bank for Mr. Briggs, wasn't it?
Well, the thing is, Nick Briggs would have done the voice anyway in the Moonbase version. He's done them all now, hasn't he? Let's be honest. So,
yeah. Well, he's done. Yeah. Oh God. Farsight, thank you for your super chat. Delete is nowhere near as scary as you belong to us. You will be like us. Yeah. That gives an intent there, doesn't it? It's not a hint. It's an intent. You're ours now. Get used to this fact. You're going to be like us in 10 minutes. Yes. It's very scary, that is. You're actually right. Rick Storm is saying, I actually prefer the original Cybermen voices, which they brought back with Bill the Lesbian. Was Bill a lesbian?
Was she?
Drink.
I didn't see
No idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea. It was absolutely outrageous to suggest such a thing. Stephen O'Neill, the phrase delete was given to the Cybermen in the modern Doctor Who era to serve as a distinct, memorable catchphrase similar to the Daleks' exterminate. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
And I'm sure they had...
It's a bit lazy, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Delete. Have they got a big eraser there or something? Are they going to...
It sounds like someone was saying earlier about Matt Hardy with the wrestling, that was his catchphrase of just delete, delete, delete. Kind of takes away from it.
It does, really, doesn't it? Does. Yeah. One thing you've got about this story as well is that annoying thing that we've all said about many people said. John Pertwee, the late great John Pertwee, said it himself as well. All you've got is a load of enemies here with no expression. Just masks. I know the mouths light up, and that's done intentionally to try and see which Cyberman is missing. But I remember at the time,
they don't have to do that all the time. Yeah, move about.
Yes, but also I was so yearning at that particular point for my favorites, for the Earthshot model to come back with the jaw. Because that showed, didn't you, that these things were once human. You've lost that element now because it's a different sort of Cyberman. They've just taken the brain out of the body, got rid of the thing and incinerated it, the human carcass, and put it in a metal thing. But it's so difficult now because which one's talking? It's actually highlighted brilliantly as well by Rose and Pete when they meet a converted Jackie Tyler.
Yeah.
And then they lose her in all the Cybermen there. Actually, if you watch it properly, Who Views, you can actually see the guy comes off screen, turns around and comes back on again.
It's like the Daleks coming through the same doorway, isn't it, to be honest? I think that scene's quite tragic, though, isn't it, when they lose her, because there's hope to try and find her and get her, and they lose her. That's quite a sad little scene, that, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Do you remember the end of series 1 or the end of the first Matt Smith series when they were in the Underhenge, and there was that knackered, beaten up old Cyberman, and there was a top half of one, and the head opened, and it was a full skull in there. Yeah. So at some point they've moved from just doing the brain, and there's a full head in there, and then in closing time they tried to get Corden in one, which, let's face it, would have been a benefit to all mankind, just zipping.
It was a bit of a squash, though, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
It was. It needed quite a bit of pressure. But again, that was him in a whole suit. That was a person going in a whole suit. Well, where's all the cybernetics then? Otherwise, it's just a fleshy blob, literally, in his case, in a metal case.
And now, forgive me, I've not got a fever, but to give Chris Chibnall a bit of a credit, which I'm surprised I'm saying this, his lone Cyberman thing that he did in the one about Byron and Shelley. Ashad, he was brilliant. That fantastic half Cyberman, half convicted Cyberman with a human face. That was really, really well done. And you had that human element to it, and he was really scary. He was.
This is interesting to me because it's a case of, again, the continuity is different here. Which version of the Cybermen are you dealing with? Because it's obviously not the Cybermen from the parallel Earth. It must be the Mondasian Cybermen that just happen to look very similar to the ones that are from that, that parallel world. I'm trying not to think about it. I get a headache. Heretic says the humanity in the classic Cybermen meant the Doctor could talk to them and try and waste time with them while he plots. Yeah, I mean, we've just done recently one where the Doctor, basically, the second Doctor looks at the Cybermen and he keeps them talking, doesn't he? I imagine you have orders to destroy me. That beautiful scene there. And yes, we have, and then explain things.
Here comes the plot. Yeah.
I know what you mean. It's interesting, that Heretic as well. But again, we get a lot of interaction in Revenge of the Cybermen, even though that's still the blank thing. But in Earthshock, Attack of the Cybermen, they are treated in other cyber stories from the original series as characters. Here they are sort of. They're not. It's all about Lumic in this one, isn't it? Really, the Cybermen are sidelined. I feel
it's almost like they're trying to turn the origins of the Cybermen into very much the origins of the Dalek. A bad guy in a wheelchair, basically, or effectively not just a wheelchair, a life support machine, and that's effectively what it was, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
I thought they tried to make a point in the episode that Lumic didn't want to go fully converted, right? He wanted to keep some of humanity. So having his kind of cyber, like him being having them a kind of blank robots, and then he obviously get converted anyway into, but it's slightly different, right? More, I don't know, intelligent Cybermen. But I do think they try to make that contrast and also set him up as not wanting to end up exactly like that, basically. Which has been too good to.
Do you think it'd have been good though? Do you think it'd have been good though when they revealed the cyber controller, if the doors had opened and he'd just been stood there with a lot of light behind him, because he'd gone from a bloody wheelchair into another big chair that just wheeled forward, didn't it? I thought, hang on a minute, he'd been upgraded.
It would just be the light though. You'd be like, tonight Matthew Young will be the cyber controller. Yeah, it's a.
I do like his visible brain though in there. It's proper cyber controllery when there's a bit of brain.
Yeah.
I thought this was down.
Did you?
Who's got the toy though? The toy looks great, I have to say. There's a toy version. Yeah.
There's a little one.
The 12-inch jobber.
Oh, I've not got 12 inch. I'm only back in 5 inches.
That one as well. Kirsty, why did you think this was daft, the cyber controller?
A bit cliche, a bit kind of typical sort of like dastardly evil robot. Seeing it again, it would have been cooler for him to be able to stand, as you're saying. But I just thought it was just a bit too typical. Something I was expecting a bit more from it.
There's a bit I really hate in this is when he pulls the tubes off and goes, no! It's like, oh dear, that's awful.
Yeah.
It's like that bit in Revenge of the Sith with Darth Vader. It's really terrible, honestly. But yeah.
But at that point as well, I don't know what Kirsten and Emilio think of this, but at that point where the cyber controller screams out, no, that's emotion.
Yeah, but it's terribly done though, isn't it? And the fact they've actually got Roger Lopack's voice as the controller, that kills it as well, because it sounds a bit naff.
It's cybernized, isn't it?
Yeah, it just sounds naff, doesn't it? Because you can tell it's him. But it may as well be Nick Briggs, to be honest. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I do think it would have been interesting had basically Lumic had kind of almost be part converted and basically just regretting it. I think if you regretting his decision, kind of, I think it would have been more interesting to go down that route than just kind of making him, like, as you say, Curtis, just a basic evil robot. And I do think the sound, when the normal Cybermen realize, obviously they kind of make the Cybermen realize what they've become, that kind of cry, I think actually worked. I think that's the only time I really enjoyed the sound. I thought it actually worked quite well. Almost like
it's very similar to how the Cybermen reacted to the emotion machine in the Invasion. Very similar.
Yes, it is very much so.
Yeah,
I quite like that.
It's like what some of the guys are saying in the chat. There are elements of this story that are taken from others. But he was given various tapes from the original Doctor Who of the Cybermen, which is a bit of a tradition when you're a doctor, isn't it, really? Which they stopped doing eventually, obviously. Yeah. But he had various tapes. He also had a copy of Doctor Who magazine's The Flood.
All right.
As well as spare parts from Big Finish as reference material. They sent him away with all that to go and do some research to get a flavour of what the Cybermen are or could be. And he came back with these scripts. So there is that, again, as the guys were saying in the chat, the bit where they're walking through the tunnel with Mrs. Moore, the bit where, as you guys have just said there, the cyber controller is obviously one of the tapes he's seeing, because the cyber controller was in Tomb and Attack. So we've seen those. So that's obviously there. So there are elements that are taken from...
Do you think they gave him the 5 Doctors as well? Because when they were approaching their attack on the power station, it was below, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It sounds like Tennant's ad-libbed that line, doesn't it, to be honest? But,
I mean, that scene is interesting for a few reasons, isn't it? Because, it's a case of being able to say, well, here's the Doctor doing what this Doctor does, making it up, basically, as he goes along, but I do it brilliantly. So he's showing his arrogance there, isn't he? Very, very clearly. But yet again, he forgets Mickey. Yet again, Mickey doesn't put... He's more interested in these new people he's only met for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
There's something quite... This is probably one of those reasons, everybody, why I couldn't get to like the Tennant Doctor until towards the end. I only liked him towards the end of series 4 with Donna, when I suddenly realized, oh, this is what they've been trying to do. Okay. In this series, and series 2 isn't a favorite of mine, I have to say.
No.
But I think it's partly because I don't really like this new Doctor at this point. I just think, hang on a minute, you're really selfish, you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that, as you said, they do kind of pay it off as well. The arrogance thing don't come back to bite him in the arse at the end, towards the end in the Water of Mars and stuff like that. So I kind of, it's the hindsight thing you said, JT. When I watch it now, I'm like, I can kind of look past it because I know what's going to come. But yes, I agree. In the moment, the arrogant can just be, if you're like a new person watching, you might be like, well, I don't really like that guy. He's a bit of a dick. So, yeah.
No, it's true. We've got this point from Stephen O'Neill here. The fact that Jackie Tyler has her 40th birthday in this episode was deliberate, if obscure reference to the fact that Rise of the Cybermen did occur in the 40th anniversary year of the 10th planet. Yeah, I got that at the time and thought, I was thinking that's too much of a coincidence. That must be it.
Yeah.
That must be it. But it was 2006, of course. And here we are now celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Cybermen, just to make you all feel old. So, yaboo to you all. Jackie Tyler as well. We touched on her before about that lovely scene where she's with Rose, and Rose isn't learning. She's not listening. She's trying to bond with this woman. This is... It just shows to me the stupidity of Rose. It really does. It really, really does. And it's not the actress's fault. It's the script's fault. But the fact that this Jackie Tyler is completely different to the Jackie Tyler that's been established in the series, I do like that. The fact that she also has this, she retains this element of stupidity, really, isn't she? She's so self-absorbed in a more glamorous way than Rose's Jackie.
But she's more, Rosie's Jackie's a bit more kind of comic, isn't she? Where she's a bit of a bitch in this universe, isn't she? A bit kind of up herself, really. Yeah.
She's a bit of a dynasty.
Yeah.
So again, it's a sort of soap opera element, but I don't understand. And it could be because of something to do with character, but I just think it's because of my real dislike of soap elements in Doctor Who. He has to take Rose back to her Jackie, her mother at the end.
Yeah.
And she's managed to change her clothes in that time as well, I noticed. I just don't get why?
It's not there to run from set to set anymore, do they? You don't have to do that. I'll just quickly change from Battle Universe to the flat. I'll do that quickly. It's live.
But I, again, watching this recently, Paul, for the first time in all these years, that bit at the end, and I suddenly remembered not liking it back in 2006. Why do that? Was that just because they're looking down on an audience and making sure that the audience realizes that it's two different worlds, or was it something to do with trying to develop Rose's character? Did they just genuinely think the audience needs to see something emotional at this point?
Yeah, I sort of saw that as a thing that even as adults, that when you go through something that sometimes you just need your mum or your dad.
Right.
And it was just me that I was hoping that it was just her going back to her mum. It would have been nice if it was more of like a wake up call from her being cocky that she goes back to her mum. But I saw that more of as an emotional side of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I
think it's a nice touch, but it's a bit heavy handed. Don't you think it's probably not necessary, really, is it?
No, I don't think it's necessary, and I don't like the whole thing when Mickey started leaving till that end bit with Jackie just dragged for me. It was a bit like the Stranger Things ending. It was like, oh, we ended here. I went, oh no, we're still going. All right, is he gone? No, he's still saying goodbye. And I just think that time could have been spent doing something more interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't like Rose giving Mickey a hug goodbye, like all of that emotion all of a sudden. That she was just like weeping, bawling her eyes out. Well, 5 minutes ago you were
with some other guy in front of them.
You're like deuces. It just didn't make any sense. You can't have
Do Do you think they did that because they wanted to do the kind of big goodbye, so that when he don't come back again in the finale, it's a shock. It's a surprise basically that he ends up there. I think they spent too much time probably for that specific reason. I guess that was just my thought when I was watching it.
I think it's because it was lazy dialogue. To be honest, they were again. It's one of these things with these problems that they have in for me in Reboot Who. It's all about, you've got to have the soap opera element, you've got to have the kitchen sink element, you've got to have all this drama around emotion. How much time did they waste saying goodbye to Mickey that could have been given to the story?
Well, that's my point. That we could have had a far more interesting story in the second half. We could have spread out some of that first half a bit, and
Yeah.
I would rather see him in Paris fighting Cybermen in France. That'd be more interesting,
French Cybermen.
French Cybermen with bellies on. Yeah, probably.
Baguettes under the
arm. Enormous onions around their neck.
Yeah.
Bonjour, delete, bonjour. No, the phone's ringing. It'll be Starmer complaining. Starmer's complaining, everybody.
There's a sitcom for you, isn't it? Yeah. Hello. Yeah.
Rose became increasingly more insufferable as the series went on, says Legion of James. Oh, absolutely. Totally agree. I totally agree. So
all the way up to 2025.
Well, yeah, because we never got rid of her. I mean, apparently she was this big fan favorite, and do you remember all this? And Billie Piper was. I got the fact that Billie Piper was hugely successful, but as far as I'm concerned, once you leave, really. Yeah. You didn't have to keep bringing her back, as probably we're going to see in 2026 as well. Let's see what the reaction to.
Well, when they did it in season 4, there's all these hints of her coming back, and then she came back for the intended to be exterminated. I was hoping she'd be shot by the Dalek, and she wasn't. But it's kind of, you had all that build up, and then all the goodbyes and the fate of your generation. Really, yeah.
It
would have been better if they just left her and did that little neat scene at the end of time where he go back, and they just left, and he just said, like, it kind of wraps up the whole 2005 arc, and then you go to the TARDIS. That would have been a lot more, and it would have been a lot more powerful if you just came back.
What is the Doctor doing in the corner by that flat door anyway before he sees Rose? I'm not sure. Is he going for a slash or something? What's going on there?
He's meant to be pretending that he's a drunk person, isn't he?
All right, okay.
Nice bottle of whiskey there on the floor. He's like, I'm going to regenerate. I might as well have some fun.
Sean Cryer is saying, who was in the chat, that's the problem with the New Who in a nutshell. It's soap opera. Yeah, and I think I understand why they did it in the first series, but the first series was so successful, I think they should have left it and parked it and got on with just telling science fiction. Yeah. But it became such a part of the show that it was still there in 2025. And by that point, it was tired, it was overused, it was boring, and it just wasn't wanted, surely.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And we locked down some really good things like Parallel Earth, right? I think it's a great concept. And I think Inferno does a much better job of setting up an alternative Inferno reality, and within a very, very short amount of time as well. And I do think it was weighted. I think they should have made the Parallel Earth a lot more different. And I think the only time that worked, as you guys said, is that Jackie is very different to the Jackie at home. But I do think there's a lot more you could have spent, as Phil said, setting that world up, but it just doesn't spend enough time to do it. It doesn't want to, and it doesn't really want to make it that different. So again, I think it's just a missed opportunity. Brigade leader every day.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they should have gave Tom Inferno as well as some of the cyber research to say, here's the last time parallel world was used in Doctor Who, and maybe we have to have that sort of feeling, because that sort of, if it had been set on the similar or the same parallel world as that had been, if you know what I mean, in that sort of tone, I would have believed it a little bit more. But I think the not-we's, as well as us as fans, will forget you're on a parallel Earth here because it's so similar to ours.
Yeah, it's too similar. Yeah.
I don't think the Tylers needed to be in it. As we've been talking tonight, I think if they weren't in it, it could have been a much smoother, easier to understand story. I mean, it could have been any prime minister's function that the Cybermen kind of invaded. Yeah. And then you wouldn't have had to have got bogged down in the Rose Tyler history stuff. You could have had Lumic, you could have had the president, Bosch. Yeah. It all happens with the Cybermen.
You're right. But the problem is, as we've said, is that they are deliberately setting up Rose's departure.
Of course.
Yeah.
So
And it would have been even more interesting. They followed Inferno thing where basically the Cybermen win and actually they have to escape in the TARDIS. That would have been
Or the Cybermen are the goodies. Actually, it did need order and conformity, and it sorted everything out. Inflation went down, prices went down. We invented WD-40, and everything was sorted.
Everyone
What a
rusted.
twist!
Yeah. Farsight, 45 or 50 minutes is simply not long enough to tell a story when you throw in all the extra stuff that RTD does. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Because look at that ending. Look at the ending at the Age of Steel and a 2-episode reintroduction to a 40-year-old at that point villain, the first time on 21st century television. I just don't think the impact was there. And I think it was all because the bigger plan was Rose has to be in a certain position and this story has to set it up. You know, and I think that's a shame for the Cybermen.
Yeah.
But then again, as we go through our reviews of the odd modern reboot Who, you'll see that I'm very biased because I don't think the Cybermen have been used in modern Doctor Who properly at all.
Not really.
At all. But I'm talking as an old hand, basically. Stephen O'Neill is quite rightly saying that it dates where Mickey mentions Tony Blair as the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
That's, again, another one of the things I keep saying, Stephen, when you set a show like Doctor Who in what is supposedly to be our Earth, it does date it. You know, that's why you can watch any of the unit stories now and not know what the hell they're wherever they are. You know, it's brilliant. It's magical because there's no reference to anything apart from Joe's feet, you know, and her boots and stuff like that. You can forgive that, but there's nothing there, is there?
He could have got himself, because you know he plans ahead allegedly, doesn't he? He could have got himself out of that if he was thinking that far ahead so easily. If he had Mickey say, "Sir Harold Saxon's not the Prime Minister," that kind of thing, and it would have fitted in the Doctor Who world and wouldn't have aged it.
Yeah,
but he didn't. He couldn't do it.
They probably hadn't even thought of Harold Saxon at that point, to be honest.
Or Harriet Jones. They could have made like a really like horrible Harriet Jones.
They were too busy trying to see Torchwood at this point, though, weren't they? There was lots of references to Torchwood in this. They were trying to do that as well, weren't they? So.
Yeah, because Torchwood was the bad wolf of this series, wasn't it? It was mentioned in every episode in some form or another. But again, that's setting up Rose's departure.
Yeah,
isn't it? Because she goes to work for Torchwood on that world, doesn't she?
Yeah.
I think what this two-parter, actually, I just realised, doesn't do as well. If Dalek in the first series, it's an isolated story, but the emotional weight of that episode sets up the Dalek coming back. So, and it does it really well. But it's a focused story. It's about the Dalek versus the Doctor and the emotional weight of the Time War. The Cybermen, it's not that, and so it doesn't have the same impact, right?
Yeah.
So they're trying to do the same thing, but Dalek did it right, and I think they didn't do it at all.
Yeah,
totally.
I just found myself rewatching these episodes with a lot of sort of like oof, and there were certain bits I liked, like the corridor scene that we mentioned, and you know, Mrs. Moore. I liked that. I think that's probably it. But there were other things where I was just thinking, right, if you wanted an origin story, Russell, then why didn't you just hire Mark Platt to do Spare Parts on television? Because Spare Parts is horrific, and it's much better origin story than this is. Was it because it was too scary, do you think? Or did Mark put his price up? I don't know. What was the thing? What was the issue?
I would love them to have filmed Spare Parts, because some of the imagery and that's amazing. And so but it's not like a cyber horse, and that's quite creepy. Things like just really weird stuff going on and things like that. You know, and just the actual transformation of people is really, really, really gory. It's fantastic stuff. And is it Darren Nesbitt who plays he's like a kind of undertaker who collects spare parts. That's a really creepy character. Yeah.
But the whole thing about that story is it's set with the Mondas. It's set on Mondas for those of you that haven't heard it, and it's probably one of the best big finishes to date, to be very honest. And it does what it sets out to do in a way that, as fans, I think we were all very, very pleased with it, because it's very highly regarded with the fans that are around at the time. And you know, it actually does do what Genesis of the Daleks did for the Cybermen beautifully. And it's just very spooky, it's scary, it's horrific. It leaves on an open end because you don't need to explain. Well, you didn't need to explain in those days what happens because you're aware of the 10th planet.
Yeah.
And I just think if they wanted to do this sort of origin story, I think they were playing very safe here. Oh, it's a parallel world, so we don't upset the old fans. Or we're not rewriting the history, or we're doing our own version. But I just don't understand. I think they missed the trick by not just saying to Mark, can you adapt your audio version? I don't know. I need a drink, says Darren Reed. Wasn't Pete Tyler flogging something?
Interesting.
On this.
Yeah.
A health drink that was just water with sugar, apparently, wasn't it? According to
just
the
a fizzy drink, pop drink, yeah.
And he made a fortune out of it. So a president there, not as stupid as various prime ministers around today. Stephen O'Neill saying, in Rise of the Cybermen, the Torchwood Institute is mentioned twice as part of an ongoing story arc leading to the series finale. Mudcrab is saying Dalek in 2005 also had the fact they made Daleks back into utterly ruthless killing beasts. The Cybermen in New Who are just stompy. That's a good point, isn't it? Yeah, good point. And Matt Enspiel with us, hello, mate. Maybe Spare Parts was just too good and RTD would be shown to be the hack he is.
Let's go with that view. I think that's a perfect idea.
Ooh, how ridiculous. Bill Lowry pointing out to us, as we've mentioned on the show before, I'd love to see Midjourney's full animation of Spare Parts. Absolutely fantastic AI journey there. And brought Spare Parts to life. Really, really good. And
I think
is telling me off, Ian. Best big finish. Tis, wash your mouth out, JT. I do apologize. I'm sorry. Go on, Ian.
Got deleted. Do gather that our Curse Delicious has to leave. Hear you?
Right. I think Ian's breaking up there. Kirsty, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later. See you later, darling. Take care.
That's what I think. Bye.
See you later.
Bye.
And Steve O'Neill pointing out that Tyler is advertising a health drink called Vitex.
Yeah.
Dirty Davros, by showing the graphic cyber conversion, humans become something else. If you imply it, they remain fallen humans. What's by showing the graphic cyber conversion, humans become something else. If you imply it, they remain fallen humans. I don't know if I know what that means, to be quite honest. Dirty Davros.
You're saying that if you showed them actually doing the conversion, because they don't show they in its entirety, is that what they're trying to say? And then human becomes something else.
Oh, yeah, because
they kind of implied it in a way that they just showed the thing doing the thing, right? I don't know what to call it, the machine, basically. And they were doing
Edward Scissorhands kind of thing, yeah.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah.
They tried to, did they try to, I can't remember if there were gleams at that point or not when they were being converted.
Added on,
Which again is it's an alternative way of doing it, but I think as you said, maybe the body horror aspect of actually seeing the conversion would have been more impactful to the audience watching.
I don't know. I just think there's a safe element to this as well, and I think with something like the Cybermen, and yes, I know it's Doctor Who and it's a family audience, but I think children can hack it because we did.
Yeah, but it's not 1985 anymore, is it? Because what they did the Attack of the Cybermen? What more of that? More bloody hands and torture and stuff like that.
I think it can. I think the horror of a human being becoming a Cyberman can be explored in this day and age properly, but also with that borderline horror that gets children excited and frightened in a healthy way. And I don't think, for me, I don't think New Who ever does that. I think, certainly, now they just don't want to do monsters at all because it's too frightening. But then when they were playing with these things, I think they could have just done a little bit more to really, as Bob Holmes once said, scare the little buggers.
I think that would have added to the impact of, oh crap, humans are going to be converted into these emotionless, basically creatures or whatever you want to call them. I think when they come back, it would have had more impact in the second half. You'd be like, oh crap, the Cybermen, oh gosh, that big news that they're now landed on Earth. We've seen what they've been able to, we've seen the threat of them in the previous story, and then also when the Dalek come, you're like, oh crap! I mean, the Cybermen were big enough as it is, and I think that was the point that we're trying to get across. But I think having that more horror aspect, as you said, JT, I think would have made the Cybermen more scary and definitely a bigger threat. That when they do come back as an audience member, you're like, oh crap, this is like we've seen the horror of it. But there isn't that. It's just a bit kind of flat for me. When they come back, I'm not like, I don't feel anything towards them coming back in the second half of the finale, basically.
Yeah, in the series.
I think one of the scarier elements of this story is probably Colin Spall as Mr. Crane. He's not in it enough, but he's brilliant. He's such a swine.
He's not in it enough, and we know that he's there because Crane's worked with him before.
Exactly,
times, of course, has worked with him in Doctor Who as well. So it's a great character, that one. I always, again, watching the rerun, watching it recently, I was watching it and thinking he could have done a lot more because he knows what Lumic is up to, and he's
also gauged the tone of the character. He's playing it right, unlike Roger Lloyd Pack. He's playing it really kind of straight and sinister, and you don't want to mess with this guy. Whereas Lumic is a bit of a lunatic and a bit sort of Richard Breyers-esque, as I mentioned earlier. You know what I mean? So,
but the brilliant thing about Colin Spall's character is they missed the opportunity there. Why wasn't he another leak? Why wasn't he another informant to the preachers? Because it turns out to be Pete. And that doesn't quite...
it's not that believable, is it? No.
If it had been Colin Spall's character feeding information to Pete, I would have believed that a little bit more because he's right there. And he's been called old friend by Lumic as well, isn't he? And he must be terrified out of his wits because one day he knows that he's going to be turned into one of these Silver things. He must be absolutely terrified. Why is he still there? Why hasn't he run away? Had they made him the leak, I would have believed it more. That's why he's still there.
And even that bit where they put tight fit on when they go into the although it's a usual kind of RTD kind of trope, like doing the Master with the Scissor Sisters or stuff like that, or even bloody Boney M that they did with Jodie. It's that's the first time they've kind of really done it. In the context of
in series 1.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a horror thing, kind of a little bit more creepy kind of thing, and I think it works in this instance because it's quite cold and calculating. The way Colin Spall plays it, I think, is really good.
Colin Spall is really wasted in this. It's such a shame. I think they should have given him a bit more of a beef up of a character and made it more believable. I want at this point just to say hello in the chat to Liberated Life, who's saying to us, all you do is criticize for the sake of it. Obviously missing the entire point of the conversation.
It's a review.
It's a review of something that happened in 2006 with the benefit of hindsight. What do you expect us to do? Kiss their asses just for the sake of kiss their asses? If that's it, go and watch somebody else's channel because you're not going to get it here. You're going to get honesty, opinion. You're going to get things you might not like here. So Liberated Life, you're very, very welcome. Please subscribe if you want to. But don't think that we as Doctor Who fans are just going to sit and say because we are Doctor Who fans, everything's perfect. Because if you go around saying everything's perfect about something, you're not a fan of it because it's not bloody perfect. So we're not criticizing for the sake of it. Neither is anybody in the chat. Grow up.
We've not been negative. I mean, we're not being negative. I think what we're saying is that actually there is potential in this episode. It does some good things, but there is a lot of potential that probably, in hindsight, now you go back and rewatch it, it kind of it wasted really the potential that it had. So we highlighted some positive, but if anything, we're just saying if we wanted it to be the best Doctor Who, this is where we feel it didn't necessarily hit the mark. But by no means is it a bad two-parter or bad episode. It isn't as good as it could be. So I think you just have to, that's not being negative, that's not criticizing, that just does, caring, we're passionate, we care about it.
Exactly.
I'm being negative though, because I did think it was terrible.
Right. Well,
you took it terrible. The rest of us think it's okay.
I think there's some good moments in it, but it wasn't as good as I remembered when I watched it the last time round.
What I would say to Liberated Life is called Christopher. Christopher, you're very, very welcome. But instead of saying we're just criticizing it for the sake of criticizing it, and it is a review show, tell us what you liked about it.
Yeah.
And let's talk about what you said, what you like about this. How old were you when it actually was broadcast first time round? Tell us what you think about the episode and tell us why you think we're wrong. Don't just come along and say on the show, you're criticizing just for the sake of criticism. It's a review show.
Yeah, because sometimes it's about nostalgia. I mean, Phil was 7 and you saw time lapse. That's why I liked it so much, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I was 7, actually. No.
You probably were, I guess, Wayne. Yeah.
I was a lot younger than 7. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
What year is Time Lash?
85.
4.
Before. I was close. Yeah.
You were 4 in 85. Oh, go away.
1981, mate.
Oh, you child.
I popped out and Bucks Fizz won Eurovision. I'm not saying they're connected, but prove they're not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's very concerning that, you know, we've got people now that have been brought up in a society that doesn't tolerate a different point of view. You know, and that for me is criticizing, and you're not going to get that on this channel at all. You know, everybody's welcome, but you're allowed to disagree. That's the brilliant thing about it. That's what we all did as a certain element of us here, and that's Paul, Phil, myself. We grew up in, you know, at a time when you could go to the pub and talk about Doctor Who because it wasn't on air. And you would agree to disagree about the easiest things, like who was your favorite Doctor, who was your best companion, what was your favorite story, the Morbius debate, which I thought we'd settled bloody years ago until Chibnall brought it back. You know, all this sort of stuff, the designs of the Cybermen, which was your favorite model.
But if you think
Delgado
this is harsh, go watch the shooting reviews if you want harsh.
That would make that would probably allow certain people to.
Well, you're right, JT. We can all fundamentally disagree on everything. You know, I mean, about Doctor Who and everything else. I mean, I know Emilio has, bless him, he has an allegiance to a football club. He's wrong, but I respect it. You know, just like we like our own versions of Doctor Who, our own stories. We have fundamentally Time Lash. Oh dear God, I would trade that for a proper missing episode to make it a missing episode. But I love the fact that Phil loves it.
Hold on. Can we just always say, someone put on the chat there about Spotty the dog. How old do you think I am? Honestly.
Oh, come on, you must remember Spotty the dog. Even I remember Spotty the dog. Okay,
it must have been repeats in the 70s.
It was. I saw them on repeats in the 70s.
I daren't admit that I liked Muffin the Mule because I might get arrested these days and it's taken the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Oh dear. Steve Braddock quite rightly saying we can all agree to disagree. That's the whole point of debate. Absolutely. And Dirty Davros saying the classic Cybermen were meant to be tragic reflections of humanity. I felt more sympathy for them, less so for the new spam in the can, Cybermen. That's what's been lost. I think Dirty Davros has actually just nailed it for me there. That was what was lost. You can't tell that these are human beings.
Yeah.
They just look like robots. And I'm worried that we've got a whole generation of Doctor Who fans that could be treating them as robots. They're not. They are humans. Except this lot aren't, because it's a parallel world. It's just a human brain in a tin can. That's not for me a Cyberman.
I do quite like that part in the story when they first arrive and the Doctor's warning, or trying to explain to Rose what they are and trying to warn off the President from answering them back because he's going to get killed. And that sets up kind of what they are a little bit, but it's not obvious that they are not robots as it continues on. But it's a lovely way of describing on that scene at the end of part 1 where he warns them off. I think it's quite nice.
No, interesting. I haven't heard anything back from that Christopher to tell us why he likes it, so I probably scared him off.
He's unsubscribed now, I think. So.
I would have genuinely been interested to see why he thinks we're just criticizing it for the fact of being criticizing it. When, you know, I would like to have heard what he liked about it, especially if he was a new fan. What attracted him to the Cybermen? Why are they a big? Because the part why we're celebrating 60 years of the Cybermen here, of course, on Who's Views, is because they are Doctor Who's second biggest baddie, and they deserve to be celebrated. But for some of us, the original Cybermen are far more superior and better written than the reboot Cybermen. And that's
Ted
fine.
Prefers the new ones.
Yeah,
my boy prefers the new ones.
Yeah,
I think
well,
because
there you go.
They're clunky, they're robots. They're probably, to be fair, a lot more similar to what he sees in other shows. than an Earth.
Very much Iron Man kind of thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Person in a metal suit with bits of plating on their arms, the legs, the silly codpiece, and the chest piece, and the helmet.
Like
it's all
armor.
Yeah,
he's kind of seen that, and I imagine to him it is probably more convincing than a man in a kind of silver flight suit with a chest plate and a cyber helmet.
You should show him picture of the Dennis Fisher Price cyber toy. See what you think of that one. That's a cracker. Yeah.
I know.
Just don't show him the Leela.
No. Well, no, maybe do. Maybe it's time. You're at the age, son. You can have a look at the Leela doll.
Saves that for the conversation, Phil. Yeah.
I mean, there we go. I don't know what to say about that now. We've all got different opinions, and that's it, And I do think Phil's got a point that these Cybermen are born into an age where they are alongside other things like the Iron Man thing and what have you. And I think that's a shame because Doctor Who always did things differently. And this, for me, points out one of the many reasons why Reboot Who, for me, went wrong, because it tries to be like everything else, whereas our Doctor Who led the way. It didn't care. It just did what it could on 20 pence and did it brilliantly, and everybody else followed. Because look at the Borg. Who came years after the Cybermen, as we know. And yet, would they do the Borg again today? Probably not. There's this whole thing now with people in power like RTD and Kurtzman and all this lot. Or we can't do anything that's going to be slightly horrific or suggest horror. Hence, you get a drag queen as a baddie. Or something
which is
that's horrific enough, wasn't it? Let's be honest.
Do you know what I'm saying?
The upper night, James Monsoon. Gosh, I get terror. Every
that's scary. Yeah.
Real Geriatric is saying the original Mondas Cybermen were a lot scarier, but I think it's great that they kept evolving, and that's a real interesting point. Real Geriatric, because I think they stop evolving in New Who, because all they do is change their costume.
Yeah. That's why that's why I have a quite affinity to the World Enough in Time and the Doctor Dancer, because the whole point is you get to see the evolution of the Cybermen, and it very makes it clear that the Mondasian is Mark 1, and that they get progressively more technologically advanced. I think that's an interesting concept anyway. I think that episode did a good job of tying in the Iron Man and the Dumpy Cybermen into the story, but I do think the Mondasian is the most powerful image of a human being converted in terms of the imagery, and but then I also think you can't really have guns and bullets fire at them because they would just die too easily. I mean, maybe the reason why they have a big metal case is because they wanted to. In the finale, they got people firing guns and bullets and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe they wanted it to be a bit more robust in terms of protection. Maybe they probably were thinking about these kind of thing when they came up with a new design. But
there's one thing I liked about classic Who Cybermen, and they didn't do it often enough, was occasionally remind you of the humanity of it, like when you have Toberman with a Cyberman's arm, or you get Tobias Vaughan who's cybernetic, or in Attack of the Cybermen you see some of the people in the sewers are being converted, and you see some of the conversions there, or Lytton on Telos, things like that are really nice, and you get a little hint of it, but they never do it enough, do they, to be honest, to remind you that they are actually human beings.
Yeah, it gets lost, and this is the whole thing about it. I just think it's a case of they're not robots. These aren't robots. And when I hear, I've met some of the young ones at conventions over the years, and it's very, very clear they think Cybermen are robots. So the horrific element has been lost, and I think that's a shame.
They clearly haven't seen Cyberwoman in Torchwood, then, have they? Really?
If you want true horror, that is terrifying 2 minutes, isn't it?
Oh, we might get around to that one day. Not today.
After 11 p.m.
Wait till Kenny's 18 for that one, Phil.
That's when I gave up on Torchwood. Was that very episode. I thought I'll give it another go. No, I won't.
RTD says that says Mudcrab that you can't scare the kids, but then happily puts in some utterly disturbing things because he thinks it's funny. Making the guy revert to sperm in Planet of the Incels is a horrible thing. Yeah, that wasn't funny at all. I just thought that was, again, just tacky. But as I said earlier, mate, the whole thing about this is watching Rise of the Cybermen and the Age of Steel was actually so refreshing all these years later to actually watch something that sort of I recognized as Doctor Who, and took itself seriously as a drama, and that I appreciated. I thought that was really good because I'd rather watch the 2 episodes I've just seen here with the Cybermen than anything that's come between 2023, 24, and 25 any day, even though it's not really the whole thing for me, you know. So it was actually quite nice to see. And again, I'm going to ask the question: what happened? What happened? Why did they go downhill? Strange. I can never call the Age of Steel Cybermen, says Jason Parker. They just look like sheep skulls. Never worked as a design. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
That kind of Y shape, the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's true, actually, isn't it? That's very true. Oh, well done there. Yeah, that's good. Right, we're going to come up to that part of the show now where we ask you in the audience for your scores out of 10 for these 2 episodes. You can give me 2. You can give me 2. You can give me 1 for the Age of Steel, 1 for Rise of the Cybermen, or you can give me 1 big whole mark out of 10 for these episodes. It's up to you. While the guys get ready, let's run the titles for that. Make sure you put in your score in the chat now. Ooh, it's so exciting, this bit, isn't it?
Yay!
Thank you very much. Heretic started the ball rolling in there with 2 scores, but I'm going to start, before I come to you guys in the panel, with one of our youngest viewers. It's Teddy Reggie Rock back with his score for the 2 stories. Here he is.
Scores on the TARDIS doors are maybe a 7 out of 10.
Maybe a 7 out of 10, he says.
Before we filmed that, he said, I'm giving it an 8. He was assuredly, he was going to give it an 8, and then he came in with a 7.
It's that look up at the end, isn't it, where he's like, maybe a 7. Please don't beat me.
Yeah, don't beat me, father. And honestly, it was barely even a cricket bat I was holding. It was just a decent.
That's fair. That's fair.
With a nail in it.
Oh dear. All right, then.
Take note, Emilio. Take note.
We'll start
Need
with
any
Paul.
parenting hints?
We'll start with Paul. What are you going to give these episodes?
Okay, I want to say something before I give my score. There's a bit I get a chance to talk about. It's a bit towards the end where the Cybermen get their they do the code and they get their emotions back again. And I actually like that bit, especially a little bit where the Cyberman touches the mirror and looks, oh my god, what's happened to me? It's really quite sweet. But the bit that makes me laugh, it really makes me laugh. There's a bit with the Doctor. I think Pete and Rose are rushing to get away from the Cybermen. They open the door and there's all these Cybermen dancing at the Christmas party, and then they run off. It's just bizarre. That bit, you know, when they do all that, it's like the Cyber Christmas party. But yeah, I actually watched this recently, just at the weekend there before we came to do this, and I hadn't seen it for a while. And I used to love this, and I loved the Cybermen coming back. Hated the stomping, but I loved the fact they had the Cybermen back. I quite like some of the elements of it. And Graham Harper's a great director, but I'm with Teddy on this. I'll give it a 7.
A 7.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, then, Phil, what are you going to give this?
2 things. First of all, when she Rose arrives and she opens her phone, it's on the Cybers network. It just says welcome.jpg at the top of her phone. And I just found that really distracting. Also, Doctor Who did earpods first, and then Apple did them like 12 years later or something, because I Googled it to see who did it. Was earpods in Doctor Who first? It was. Anyway, because Ted gave it a 7, I feel I have to go in lower. I mean, I probably would have given it a 6 or a 7, but because he really liked it and gave it a 7, I feel I should probably go with a 6, because I did find bits of it really cringe, but fundamentally, I don't know. It's a story, isn't it? It's not terrible.
It's not terrible. No. Emilio, what are you going to do?
So I think that if you'd asked me a few years back before I watched classic Doctor Who, I probably would have given it probably a 7 or potentially even maybe an 8. But now I've watched classic Who and I've also seen what a good Parallel Earth story looked like. I just can't give it that. I would kind of say this is an average story, which means there's good bits, there's some bad bits. and there's potential there. So I would have to give it a 6 on that basis.
Lovely. Fair enough. Thank you very much. You see, a little bit of honesty. And third Doctor, Ian, what are you going to give this?
I think viewing it as an installment of New Who rather than comparing it to classic, because none of the New Who stuff will stand up otherwise. In my notes, again, Emilio, you said this virtually word for word. I've got the Doc being a dick. He was. That very smug relationship with Rose at the beginning, where they were taking the mick out of Mickey as he was holding that button, it was very unlikable. I thought the effects were superb. I thought the way they realised, especially for 2006, the way they realised the Zeppelins, the airships and all the different styles of airships and everything, bit crowded in the sky. I'm not sure they'd get away with that, but I thought that was good. I thought that was realistic when it was coming in low at the end of the second episode. Thought that was really good. There were some exciting bits in it. All finished off with a very twee ending, panning up to the sky with way too many stars in it, and also the moon and a shooting star as well. Was just, we didn't need that kind of saccharine bollocks, really. But as an episode of 2006 New Who, it was one of the better ones. I'd probably give it an 8.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh.
Good for you. Brilliant. For myself, I was entertained back in 2006. I was sort of entertained now, but and the reason for that, I think, is because it was just so nice to see something that I recognized as Doctor Who rather than the crap that we've had over the last couple of years. As I keep saying, I just can't get over the difference. It's the same production team. I just cannot get over how they've lost the plot these days, and they can't tell good television anymore. They can't give good television, and that's shocking. And they should be ashamed of themselves. And they need to go back and watch some classic episodes of Doctor Who, and possibly some of their own season 3 and 4, in my idea, before they even entertain the idea of possibly coming back. However, it wasn't enough for me to give it one of the big scores. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10 for both episodes, to be quite frank, because it was okay, but I just can't get over season 2. There's something about season 2 that just doesn't hit it with me, I'm afraid.
Wait till we love and monsters. That'll be fun.
Oh God!
I think I don't want to watch it again. I think that's why it takes me away from watch. I wouldn't have watched it again if we weren't doing this.
Yes,
I have seen it, and it hasn't made me want to watch more or watch it again.
I understand, and I get you. I think I'm with you on that one. And yet we've got to watch a sequel in a few months' time. As part of this 60th anniversary of the Cybermen.
The rewatchability of New Who is not the same as classic at all. You don't have that to watch it as often.
No way.
I don't know what you think about that, Emilio, but for me, there's no magic. There's no, because I never go back to New Who. If I think, I fancy a Doctor Who, I'll always go back to Doctor Who that I know, and I'll watch anything.
Yeah, just quickly, I think there are episodes in New Who that I will go back and, Family of Blood, Human Nature, Daughters of Mars, Midnight. I think there are some really good stories that are definitely the Empty Child. There are a lot of good episodes that you can go back and watch. This is probably, again, I agree, not one of them that I would, go back. I just don't. There isn't enough meat on the bone there for me to go, oh, did I miss something? Or, I want to. I really enjoyed that story. I want to watch it again. So yeah, it just misses the mark for me. I do need to jump.
Yes, thanks, Emilio.
Thanks everyone in the chat, and catch you later.
Take care,
mate.
Bye.
See you later. Ta-ra, mate. It's interesting what he's saying there, actually, and it's going to be very interesting when we eventually get around to looking at things like The Empty Child, Midnight, and stuff like that to see, because I haven't watched any of them for years either. So it's going to be interesting when we come to those to be able to say, oh, actually, this is very, very good, or whatever. That's a good point. It's going to be interesting. Let's get into the chat and see what you're all giving this. Heretic is giving the first episode 6 out of 10, and then the second episode 7 out of 10. Thank you for that, mate. Derek Hart is also giving it a 7 out of 10 and a 6 out of 10. So that's the other way around. Funky is saying I class it as a single story. That's fine. So 6.5 out of 10. Cara is giving it a 7 out of 10. Wow, that's quite high as well, isn't it? Craig Dunlop is saying a combined score. I give it 7.5 out of 10. Okay. Richard Brooks. Hi, Richard. A solid 6 apiece. I didn't like the stomp. No, a lot of us don't. A lot of us don't like that. Too mechanical, isn't it? Too silly. 6 out of 7 from PTA. Thank you, mate. And Matt is giving episode 1 6.5 out of 10 and episode 2 6 out of 10. Ooh, okay, brilliant. Dirty Davros is giving it 5 out of 10 and a 4 out of 10. And Real Geriatric is coming up with a 7 out of 10. It's still doing well. Here's Jess with Age of Steel, 8 out of 10. There you go. Thank you for that, Jess. And 6 out of 10 from Bill Lowry. Stomping and robots rather than converted humans drops a few points. Darren Reed is saying, from a 20-year-old memory, 6 and a 6. Steve O'Neill, it's 8 out of 10 for the whole story. I enjoyed both episodes. But a 2 out of 10 from Dalek Shalom, who's saying only for the very good supporting cast and not Tennant. I'm not sure what this means from Funky. Phil was pointing a sink plunger and an egg whisker at his son.
That could be the excuse to many a story.
It didn't age well, says Rick.
Call social services, Greg. Yeah.
It didn't age well, says Rick Storman, gives it a 6 out of 10. And Mudcrap is saying, score. Not rewatched it for years, but memory wants to say I enjoyed it at the time, so a 7. It'd be interesting if you did get back and saw it. The fact that you haven't gone back to see it says something, Mudcrap, yeah? Anyway, we've got that. What else? Any more there? As Paul mentioned, says Craig Dunlop, earlier the scene where you see the Cybermen standing stock still in the moonlight just after killing Ricky is really memorable moment from the original RTD run. Killbot. Kill is with us with 7 out of 10 for Rise and 6 out of 10 for an average good, overall a good story. Glad you enjoyed it, mate. Thank you for that. A fair 5 for some of the bolder concepts, as Sean Cryer. And Jason Parker is giving it a 4 out of 10. It's more clunk and junk, to be honest. I'm bored of Rose and never liked Tennant, even then. The left wanting real Cybermen. I was left wanting real Cybermen. Yeah, I remember that sort of thing. I was yearning for the David Banks version, to be quite honest. Like, oh, this isn't right. This doesn't feel right. I remember that. Count 1970 Lives is giving it a 7 out of 10. I never liked the alternate timeline idea, but we lapped this up at the time, to be fair. Did we?
I can't remember.
I don't remember. I didn't. I must have been one of the few. Surprise, surprise, that didn't go with the flow. What else? Oh, no. Any more chat? Any more scores there, everybody? No?
You do wonder, don't you, if stories like this will disappear off iPlayer, because it's going to get it. Potentially, it could get very awkward for them, couldn't it? With Mr. Clark and things, because other stuff's happened.
Yeah, we don't want to go into too much about that because we don't know anything about it. But yeah, they could lose a hell of a lot if that's the case.
They do get quite reactionary, though, don't they? Very quickly.
Yeah. We'll have to see what happens with that, of course. But there we go. Imagine if David Banks had played Lumix, said Funky1463. Our Stephen Braddock's guy is a score there, 8 out of 10. Well, good for you. Thank you very much. All right, I'm going to call it there, everybody, if there's no more scores on the TARDIS doors. It actually did very well. I think it got anywhere between, it got one very low, but the rest of them are all quite average, I think, between 7 and 9s, really.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd thought about 6, 6.5. Mean.
Not bad at all, actually. It's done all right, I think, that one. Oh, apart from this one from Dalek Shalom that says 0 out of 10.
That's ruined the average completely, that is. That's about 5 now.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, there we go. That was our look at and our critique of the first story to reintroduce the Cybermen to a brand new audience of the 21st century, which I'm sure they were aware of, and I'm sure that played some part in the whole look of it and the design of it and the stompiness of it. But yeah, this has been part of our 60-year celebration of the Cybermen here in 2026. I'm not going to tell you where we're going next. You're going to have to subscribe and keep an eye on our show page, because there's another one coming up for you very soon. So make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you're still subscribed if you've already subscribed. And do keep an eye on the show page, where every now and then I'll drop the next show for you, in plenty of time for you to go and watch it as well, I hope. So there we go. We did have Kirsty's mark. I didn't go through Kirsty's mark. Didn't she give it a 7?
There we are. That's brought the average back up again for
yes, 6, 6.5 again. Whoa.
James Avroff is asking us, will you do any Cybermen stories from Doctor Who weekly or monthly? The answer to that is Yes. Yes.
Can you do Croton the Cyberman? Let's do that, please.
Yeah. So stay with us, Dirty Davros. And if you've got access to all those lovely, lovely Doctor Who magazine, weekly, monthly magazine, whatever you want to call it, strips, start getting them ready. Julianne's just popped in a 4.
Well, now, Julianne, I've He's at 6 now.
Thanks for that, Julianne. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, we are going to be looking at the Doctor Who weeklies and the monthlies. It's all in the plan. So stay with us. We've got one coming up for you fairly soon as the first one of those. So I hope you're going to enjoy that. From Paul, from Phil, from Third Doctor Ian, from Emilio, and from Kirsty and myself, thanks for joining us for this show. Give us a thumbs up. You can hype us if you like as well. And yes, hype away, everybody. You get 3 a week.
3 a week?
3 a week, apparently. 3 hypes a week.
Crikey.
Sounds exhausting. Yeah.
Hypes are rationed.
And also thank you to Teddy Reginok as well for coming over from his channel and giving us his thoughts as a young'un, one of our youngest subscribers to the channel. From all of us, until we see you again on Who's Views, take care of yourselves. Ta-ra, everyone. Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
Bye.